Hold up, everybody. Check this fucking out, guys. Today on the program, my second to last interview, but not my second to last episode. The DIY guy, the Yinzer, the anti-hero, the surfer, the yawn patroller. This is my bro, Austin Kanfoush. I'm fucking hyped. This could be the Seabass Award because Austin and I have been friends forever. About 5 years, if that counts as forever. Come on. What is it, 2010? Go on, Schmitty. It's like 12 years. It's not forever.
What is happening?
Austin and I have been talking about doing the pod for a while, and we finally got all the stars aligned, the schedules to fucking open up windows, and we are diving in today. But before we do all that, I have to do this. Somehow I don't have a Stratosphere sticker on my wall, except for now I do. Here we go. Come on, Tom. That Patlanta episode really had me reeling. I knew I had stickers, but I couldn't find it on the damn wall, which means I didn't stick it on the wall. But I did have them. Anyway, let's tickety-tack on over to the Blood Wizard campaign.
Head on down to your local shop. Ask Blood Wizard Skateboards. Or visit bloodwizard.com for all your conjuring needs.
Tickety-tack.
Hey, it's Corey at Blue Plate, 3218 Mission Street. Come see us. Meatloaf, fried chicken, deviled eggs, Dollar Olympia beers. We're here every day of the week. We got a garden and we got smiles on our faces. Come let us make you happy.
In case you missed it, we dropped a Thanksgiving video on your lap and people really enjoyed it. Highlights? Whoo, too many. But man, we had a girls section with Jamie Reyes starting it off. And, Bryce Wetstein, Lizzie Armano, a clip of Vanessa Torres, the Bitchin' Betties providing the soundtrack. Then, for the dudes, Shane Mednich and the SM Project. Man, Shane and your Nintendo beats making it fun and easy to edit to. These projects wouldn't even probably happen without Shane. So much respect, love, and appreciation. But yeah, I think the highlight for me of that was Mr. Michael Crabtree and Alex Fatimi from the Curbs of Rockridge, East Bay, giving me a lot of gems. But what stood out on top of all that was, on my lap, they tossed me a gang load of Barker Barrett. So take that, internet. I'm recording this on Cyber Monday. I love saying cyber. Make sure you get your loved ones some Talkin Schmit over at talkinschmit.com. We got some fire hats and beanies, some new t-shirts and hoodies, and we got the classic cranny silhouette coming in pretty hot. People are loving it. Get over there while supplies last, because we're doing smaller runs, and once they're gone, I think we're gonna just move on to the next. So if you see something you like, it's kind of like when I go down to the saltwater fish store. If I see a coral, I gotta grab it, because next time I come in, it could be gone. Always appreciate people ordering things, and lately I've been inserting extra love, so you never know if you might just get something that you didn't order on top of what you ordered. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everyone's safe. Today on the show, the Yinz.
What's up? This is Austin Kanfoush, and we're about to talk a lot of Schmidt on Talkin Schmit.
Holy cannoli.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Yeah.
Big dog's in.
Do we really want to be here?
Everything's changed.
We on? Schmitty?
Talkin Schmit.
Talkin Schmit, dude!
You gonna come out different.
Shit my pants, lad.
Your Rolodex is fucking deep.
Holy shit.
It's about the ones.
Who is
this guy thinks he's tough shit.
What's up?
Come on, Schmitty, what the fuck?
Tell the skateboard police to come get me. What is happening?
Let's hear it for Greg Swift.
All right, everybody. As you know, last week, the big 180 Pat Lana came in hot with the anti-hero vibes. We got another 1-8, but this is the 181. Austin motherfucking Kanfoush, my homie. Finally, we get to make this happen. How are you?
Yeah, Schmidt, dude. I'm so happy that we're making it happen too, man. I'm doing great, dude. Glad to be like not the guy to just seem like I'm blowing it all off. Because I wanted to do this.
Yeah, I was talking to you about it for a minute. So finally, I mean, it's hard for everybody to do anything these days. There's so much going on. And you're one of the busier dudes, like with the family, the fucking construction. You're surfing at 4 a.m., skating at 6 a.m., working from 7 to 4, then taking care of the kids from 4 to 11, watching the sunset with your wife from 11 to 3. I don't even know if you sleep. Like, what?
I've been like, whatever. I'm 32 now, so I sleep less. When I was a teenager, man, I needed to sleep in like a maniac. But now I'm like, 4 to 6 hours. I'm styling.
Okay. So where were you born? Were you born in Pennsylvania?
No, I was born in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
My dad was in the Air Force at the time. And him and my mom had met, I grew up in a town called Hopewell, which is like right next to Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. And I think they had met sometime, probably in high school, and she went with him to Texas for his Air Force, whatever it was, He was stationed there, but then they sent him off to the Azores. But I was born in Fort Worth, lived there for 2 to 2.5 years. I don't remember really much of any of it though.
You and Zach Hudson, you guys were there the first 2 years of your life.
Oh, Zach was from Texas as well?
Yeah, I guess
that's right. No, it's cool. Yeah. I love having that little bit of Texas in me.
So your dad went to the Azores?
He went to the Azores. They had him stationed out there, and I think he served during the Gulf War.
Oh, damn. Okay. My grandpa's from the Azores. He's 100% Portuguese.
Wow. Yeah. Apparently, like the photos I've seen from the Azores, it just looks like super beautiful, and there's surf out there, and it's crazy and this and that. But like my dad is so the opposite of like a Army, Navy dude. I think he was more like our style, partier, stoner, not doing the best in high school, and was just like, fuck all this. Like, I'm going to go do this, get a trade. He was an airplane mechanic. So that's what he did for them.
Right, dude.
But the Azores, that would be cool. That's on the bucket list one day.
Oh yeah. Me and the wife have it high on the bucket list because her family's from the Azores too.
What? That's pretty epic. Small world connection.
I know. Well, we were going to go there for the honeymoon, except for pandemonium, pandemic, COVID style. We kind of decided to keep it not international for that one.
Damn. So did you guys get married right around the time the pandemic had started, or what's that?
Dude, we got married like a week after that second virus came in, and everyone was super shook. Like,
okay. So about a year.
I moved in with her 1 week before lockdown.
Yeah.
And then that was the first wave. And then
that's a heavy story too. I love hearing that.
And then we postponed the marriage for another year because no one knew what was going on. But when we postponed it, we're like, hey, if we do it with 3 people or 30 people or 300 people, we got to do it. Like, we put it off once, but we just really wanted to get married we're fortunate that all our parents are still alive. So you never know when someone's going to drop. So like people were like, why do you have to get married so bad? It's like, because this is important to us that our parents are still alive and we need to do this. So we were getting ready. Like we had got the spot and everything was chilling. Like, we were going to have an indoor wedding actually at the time. And then, dude, I was driving home one day and I was like, what the fuck? Everybody had masks on, like everyone. I was like, dude, what's going on? I come in and Cheryl's like, new variant or whatever, and it was like everyone's scared, like it's supposed to be way gnarlier.
Oh, great!
So
right?
we had to shift gears, and like I think it was 3 weeks away, we changed it to the same location but everything outdoors.
Nice,
and just the whole deal. It was gnarly.
So it's a little more personal. No one was all.
I mean, I got no regrets.
There people probably still were, but
yeah. Well, we'd made it like, hey, if you want to wear masks, you can, but we are getting married, so we're gonna take photos with masks off. Like, I don't want to have pandemic wedding photos of me and my bride.
I know that was a tough time, dude. That sucked.
Yeah, but now we're here, so
we got through it.
Yeah, it was killer. So how did you end up in Pittsburgh? Did you go from Texas to how did this go?
I think my parents had been like on their path to separating, just with like maybe my dad being gone in the Air Force and whatever the story may have been. But so I think they had split up and got divorced and went back to Pittsburgh. So my mom moved back in with her parents, my dad with his parents. So for a huge chunk of my life, I just grew up at each parent's house, my grandparents' house. So like my dad's dad and mom had a house, which were both in Hopewell, but my dad's side is the Lebanese side. So that would have been my Jidu's house, because that's Lebanese for grandfather. And then on my mom's side, they're kind of like a European mix. So I'm just a bit of a mutt myself, but yeah. So we went back to Pittsburgh when I was like 2, and then we all kind of bounced around, but had basically lived all around the city, like if this is the city, here's a point, then Aliquippa Hopewell is to the west. If you're looking at a map, 25 minutes. It's a big, like, it was a steel town. So all my family, grandparents, uncles, a lot of them were all in the steel mills at the time.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and like even, grandparents too, that were retired from their service working for the Navy and all that, they had went to the steel mills as well with their trades that they had taken and learned, whatever, being an electrician for the Army, this and that. So yeah, I think they all kind of just, everything kind of revolved around the steel mills out there. But my whole family, mom and dad's side, all kind of migrated through Ellis Island.
Oh.
And I don't know if that was my dad's dad or, who would be my Jidu, his parents. Right. But it was either my Jidu or his dad that was from Lebanon. And then they came over Ellis Island to Pittsburgh.
What was the crazy, I think, is it your wife's or is it your family that there's this crazy like cousin circle around and then we're skating with the guy?
Oh, dude. So, yeah.
That was insane.
Tony, the
it's
kid
like,
that rides.
Dude, we're related.
Yeah, no, the kid that rides for Enjoy. I'm going to butcher his last name, but I think it's Lathos, Tony Lathos.
Uh-huh.
But I was in Copenhagen and we got a text or something. Oh, your cousin, Paula's cousin is out there, Tony. And I was like, what? I just ran into like Louie and Tony and these guys skating down the street with the Copenhagen friends. And shout out.
Christiana.
And the Enjoy dudes were across the street. And I think I was with like Towel and maybe, God, I forget who else. Maybe Ville. And we're like, what? That's fucking Louis Barletta and these guys. And they're like, hey, you guys got a skate tool? And I was like, back pocket. Yeah, what's up? And so I had said, what's up to the guys? I don't think I had ever met Tony at this point. And turns out I get a text later that evening. That's Paula's cousin. Paul and I are married now. That's my cousin. I'm like, damn, this fool fucking rips. He's really good, dude. And he's really fucking cool, man. So
rad. Yeah, that was crazy.
I think that's the first family member in the skate world,
How did you end up with a skateboard? Did you was it through friends or just family or what?
Oh, I rolled really tough with all my cousins as a kid. Like I had tons of cousins and I'm an only child. So I was just constantly with cousins and neighborhood friends and all this and that. But I got my first board when I was either 7 or 8. And it was a blind mushroom cloud, ever slick. So that was how I knew, because I had to look back up when it had come out. So I was like, when the fuck did I first get a board? But going back even further, you know, almost half and half, you know, half the time with my mom, half the time with my dad. But my mom had the OG yellow banana board.
Really?
The one that everyone has had. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I actually bought one like a few years ago off Craigslist just to be like, this was the first board that we ever skated growing up. So my mom would skate the banana board, and that was my first board too. And then I broke the trucks are weird. They sit in this little plastic hole where the kingpin would be. And as a kid, I had broke this board just doing kid shit. And now we have the same board, and we broke it the same way, me and my kids. So it's like full circle.
You don't remember, but stories from the family, do they say you were pretty much a wild kid like your son Ozzy?
Yeah, I think I was like super wild, could never sit still. I wouldn't nap. But I was shy. Ozzy's like, well, I guess Ozzy is a bit shy too when he comes around.
At first. Once he gets comfortable with you, he ain't shy.
No, then it is on. But yeah, no, I was definitely high maintenance and just super active. And it hasn't changed, man. It's hard.
What's still. Yeah, I know. Me too. I got the restless leg syndrome sometimes. Like my legs are just shaking, and
you just feel that inner vibration, just like, this is even harder to sit here than to not.
Yeah.
Tired, sore, and lazy, but I don't know. I like moving and grooving, doing shit.
You got to. What's some of the early memories that you have, like as a kid? Like for myself, we had a school right across the street from our house. And on the weekends, we'd climb over the fence and just bomb the hallways and learn layback slides and just push and try to go fast, slide and all that stuff. Like those are some of my early memories, like learning a little bit more than just rolling, right? Like, do you remember that kind of stuff?
Your skateboard out and
like we got into catamaranning as friends. Like we definitely did that. But then there was a point where we were just like trying to go really fast and then like stop yourself. And like, because we had some hills, but I didn't live in the city yet, obviously. So I was just in the suburbs. So it was but from the get-go, it was like, how fast can you go and still keep control?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So like Aliquippa, we were kind of like Lower Hopewell on the verge of Aliquippa was my dad's parents' house. And we lived on a giant fucking hill. And, you know, Pittsburgh terrain is very hilly and super crusty, but everything was a hill. Like, you know, we lived on the hill. The neighbor's driveway was a hill. So yeah, earliest memories of skating at that point would have been like, you know, roll off that curb, see how far you could get down the hill, and then just like run out, slide out. Like that was definitely the initiation of like skinned knees and my Jidu being like, you jackasses, like, oh, you guys are gonna kill yourself. He was like the sweetest dude, but we were kind of like, I think, raising the hair on his neck a little bit. And but yeah, and then honestly, the feeling out skateboarding a little more, like fakie came to me kind of easy. Like I learned how to like move my board around. A fakie shove it might have been the first move that I could do without even popping the tail. But you know, kind of creep backwards and just turn, you know, get a little turn. And then classic winter time, snowing like mad, can't skate anywhere, just next to the water heater in the fucking basement, because that was the style house they had. It was like, because my dad has, so in this house, and it was only a little 3-bedroom, and but there was like 5 siblings in there, you know what I'm saying? So there was that little basement, and there was this little garage that I think before I was born they kind of had converted to like kick it room down there. But next to it was just a little slab of concrete, water heater, and we would stationary skate right there.
Oh man.
Try to do kick flips, this and that. And yeah, man. But I was really into like BMX and jumping off, climbing houses, roofs, jumping off roofs. We were in the woods all the time. We lived around like, even though it was a pretty like close house area. I don't know if you've been to my house in Napa, but all the houses are real close. And this is kind of like, this neighborhood that I'm in now reminds me a lot of where I grew up. So a lot of shit packed in real tight, but you know, a ton of room for kids to like mayhem to let loose. It was really weird, our block that we lived on, because it was like this big hill that we lived on here, but the house was here. And then behind the house that separated the next block was a long grass alleyway. So this was like where we would dig our BMX jumps. When it would snow in the wintertime, we would like throw snowballs at cars and the police would come. We'd run down the grass alleyway and disperse to all the houses to like get away.
Sick.
We'd roll giant snowballs, 5-6 foot snowballs, and we'd just push them into the road and just watch the mayhem ensue and nobody could get through. All sorts of dumb shit. We would string pop cans, like we'd put fishing wire across the road and we'd hang 20 pop cans on each side, and then the cars would drive through. I'm talking, we're like 7 years old. Cars would drive through, the pop cans would get all tangled behind the car. They think, what the hell's falling off my car? And they'd stop and get out, and we'd be like, snowballs, haha, like just little shithead kid, just stupid kid shit. But at the same time, I got my service too there. Like I have such an early memory of like all these older kids coming and like just rousting us little kids, like, we're gonna kick your ass. No. And I ran inside, Dad, these kids are gonna beat my ass. And I'm like looking out the window, and he's like, dude, you gotta be out there. You can't be running, hiding inside. So it was a great childhood, dude. And that was only on my dad's side. And then my mom's other half of the week was like just as eventful, you know?
Right.
But a whole different side of town, a whole different side of friends. So
was there some local skate park at all?
Not at that time, no. But Shady Skates was around. I don't know if you'd ever heard of that. That was in Pittsburgh. And that was it was in Shady Side.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
It was indoor. And it was called Shady Skates. And like, I'm sure at the time I was going there as such a young kid, all the guys that I looked up to a little later when I figured out what skateboarding even was had been in there, you know, like Kevin Taylor, all these dudes, Jerry Cooper, our buddy JG, just like the Panza brothers, all these Pittsburgh guys who are like mega staples in the scene. Yeah. So Shady Skates was, I think, my first introduction to like an indoor park. Maybe before that, there was a few kind of out our way, but I would have been, I think, too young to even remember what the name of those were, you know?
So when you go to the skate park, is that maybe the first time you kind of like learn about transition?
Dude, not even. I don't think anything clicked with me until like 13, you know, figuring out.
No, I mean like skating transition. Like, did you see, was there any ramps or anything?
I was always pretty good at like, you know, I could drop in on a mini ramp. I could drop in on like a 6 foot ramp, a mini ramp.
Okay.
Maybe just from skating around the sidewalks and shit like that. But I could never get the rock fakie. I could drop in on anything and I would hang up every time. Like, so that it all took a while, dude. And it's still how I skate today is like, I don't think I'm that talented, but I'm just like, I'm motivated, you know?
You're definitely motivated. Do you remember, like, I remember dropping in on Vert for the first time, and it was just like, it's kind of one of those things in my mind, like how do you go from 0 to 100? Like, it's like, there's no progression. Yeah. And then somebody was like, oh yeah, you just go fakie and then go up and then hit your tail and then come back in. And then if you can do that, you can drop in. So that's
That's
how
kind of a good way
because
that
I
they
was
put it
so
for you.
scared. I would put the board down over and over and go, "Ugh."
Yeah. Everyone has that battle, right? Like, you're like, you got to really lean forward. I'll teach kids that now too. Like,
Yeah.
just pump so you can tap it going fakie.
And also, like, it seems like you should know how to kind of like work the ramp a little before you drop in anyway. There's no reason to drop in if you're not going to know what to do with the, if you're just dropping in to jump off your board. But if you can have a little pump and know maybe a kick turn or something, then dropping in, you're going to be like, ooh, we're going to take it a little, you know.
Oh, I can backside turn. I could fucking front side turn. Yeah. But I totally remember the first rail. Like, God, we're gonna get a little skewed in this time frame here, but I'm gonna do my best to like get us through it. But
it's fine.
First rail I ever hit was the neighbor's like wooden 5-stair down into their little, like, it was the Baez's house. And that's like, this is still all my family, like these are generational families that have all grown up in these houses for multiple generations. So that was the Baez's house. And I might have even waxed it with like deodorant. I did that in the past at one point, like, this thing's sticky. I don't even know what to do. Like, oh, maybe deodorant is the ticket,
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I have such good memories at that house, man. Like stealing my grandma's Misty Menthol 100s as a kid, just being like, what do I do? Like, you're just a kid. You're like, stoked.
And Pittsburgh,
back when people smoked in the house, drive you to school in the winter with the windows up, smoking in the car. Like,
dude,
you do that now and they're like, your fucking kids are out of here.
We were just talking about that the other day. Like, can you believe people used to smoke on airplanes? Like, it's crazy.
I know. How about they still got the damn ashtrays? Like, take them out. You're tempting people.
Yeah, it's for true, man. And so your first was your true like sports thing. Were you more football? Like, I know you had the Steelers.
No, I was like soccer. I was a soccer maniac just because like how busybody I was.
Okay.
So they got me into soccer and I pretty much liked all these sports and I liked everything until about like around fifth grade is when they started pressing you to practice every day after school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's way too much time. I think I hard quit everything around like, early middle school.
How many people do you know that got into skateboarding because either or both they hated team sports, they didn't like relying on like all these guys and having to be like, compared, or they didn't want to go to class after class. Like, I don't want to go practice, like, and have a teacher telling me what to do. Yeah,
man. I know plenty of those, but also a few of the really close friends of mine that I grew up skating with, like, had never done sports. So I kind of felt like I was so behind on the fucking scale of skating because a couple of my buddies, like Drew Winden, especially was one of them, has always been like so talented at skating and stylish and just like, fuck, you want to skate like that? Like almost like a Kenny Anderson, but just even more to it. But he had ever done any fucking sports. And I thought that was cool. I'm like, man, this kid knew what he wanted to do all the fuck along,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely tried to do it all. I tried to, soccer was when I was younger. And then I tried baseball and they kind of left me out in the left field. Like, and I was like picking worms and And then football was a little more physical. I was like better at that. And then, even had to wrestle for a little bit.
Oh.
And physical. I've always been good at that, like physical stuff, But like I said, around middle school, it just all clicked that like, this is not anything that I feel like doing besides skating. I really wanted to skate. But before that, I was really big into like BMXing too, like I said, and we would BMX around. We'd BMX around because we didn't have to be home until the street lights were on or anything like that. So cruise around, and then it became cruising around with your board. And then it was like, all right, let's hit the dirt jumps, let's hit the schools. We had like a couple curved wall rides in where like home plate would be. You know, on the bottom 4 feet, there'd be that hard rubber.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like a grassy mound up to the hard rubber. So that was a sick wall ride. And it just transitioned to where, like, when we could control the board, the bike spots became the skate spots.
Oh.
And then it fully, we phased out the BMX because there's a huge fucking BMX scene out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as well. Like, and a lot of these dudes that I grew up with and my cousins who are a little older than me were huge BMXers, and my cousins kind of more like went down the bad path of whatever, you know, being a fuck up kid. And one ended up going to prison. The other ended up doing good and having a family. But the other BMXer friends, like the Pitosneys, ended up like professional BMXers.
Oh, damn.
And I think the one dude, Mark Pitosney, that we grew up with, just got like the equivalent of Skater of the Year, but BMX style.
Whoa. So
everyone BMX'd around us, except for me and my little squad. We had like took in the skating super tough.
That's sick. Who was your like early influences? Like, who would you like be super stoked? Maybe your first video part, or like when you started looking through the mags, it was somebody that you were just always like looking for to see if you had a photo in there or something like that.
Well, yeah. So there was years, Schmitty, of like didn't know, didn't care.
Yeah, I bet.
Until I kind of linked up with my buddy. You definitely would know Pittsburgh Bill Cunningham. It would probably jog your memory if you had seen him, but between Bill Cunningham and Rob Starr, these guys were my outlet to like everything fucking skating. So like Welcome to Hell, jump off a building every morning before we skated. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Lie to my mom. Hey, I'm going to just be like down the street. Bill would pick me up in his crusty van. We would go fucking skate all around Pittsburgh and do all this shit, you know? So those guys were my
Welcome to Hell.
That was what I fucking grew up on, was Welcome to Hell, jump off a building. And we watched those every fucking day. So I don't know, man. I just was so like into wanting to skate everything at that point. And kind of Pittsburgh, I feel like, had it, you know? And a lot of people still go there and they're like, oh, Pittsburgh's so rad, but the spots kind of suck. And I'm like, you just got to look at them a little differently and make do with what you got, because I mean, I've traveled the world in the States, and Pittsburgh still is like one of my favorites for skating because there's just so much to skate. And for the last 20 years, everyone's been finding new shit still. But I would say influences being from the East Coast. I mean, obviously, when I was like super young and we're watching Jump Off Building, Welcome to Hell, everyone in there, Brian Anderson, Alyssa Steamer, Muska, Jamie Thomas. But then as I started to learn a little more, I found out about like Kevin Taylor, Mike Maldonado, Brian Michaud, anyone who had Pete Eldridge, anyone with affiliation to Pittsburgh, which I would see footage, because then a little later we started watching Mark Branstedter's video, the Plain and Simple videos. And that was basically like Tony Montgomery, all those dudes I just named, Kerry Getz. So heavy East Coasters. So we started being like, whoa. But we would get little tidbits of like the Gons, because like all my older friends were like, dude, you don't know about the Gons? You don't know about Cardio? You don't know about like all these fucking, like, you're blowing it. So I've always been so hard to pinpoint to myself like favorite skaters, because I don't know, I'm just such a fan of skating, you know?
Yeah.
Style or not, like obviously you got to have style. Sure. You got to be like in love with skating for me to feel like I can. Not even, you don't have to have style. As long as you're in love with skating, then I can get down with you no matter what. If you can't even do anything. But yeah, I was just, dude, everyone, I was such a fan of it all. But I really wanted to like skate rails and jump off big shit too when I started getting a little better at this stuff, which I wish I hadn't, because my body is fucking thrash. But maybe that's just life too, you know what I mean?
What about Eastern Exposure? Was that in your...
Oh, yeah. Fuck
like
yeah,
Donnie
dude,
Barley?
Yes. Donnie Barley is one of my all-time fucking favorites. Right. And especially because as we got a little older too, the Panza brothers, Nick Panza and Henry Panza. Nick is the older brother. Henry Panza is the younger brother, but Henry Panza rode for traffic. So we were in tune with like Ricky Oyola and all these dudes too. So we were schooled by our elders on just, you know, East Coast rugged street skaters, basically, you know. And Donnie Barley definitely fucking embodied that shit. And I had always been a big fan of Donnie Barley.
Who was like the first pro you saw in person?
When I was real young, I saw a Toy Machine demo at Mr. Small's skate park, which is Evan Smith's uncle's music venue / skate park. So back in the day, there used to be a park on the river, fat vert ramp, crazy weird street course that was almost borderline BMX style, but yeah, no, I got an Ed Templeton autograph on like old one of those magazines, the Skateboard Mag. So I remember those guys coming through, and then also seeing their street footy that came out in one of those Toy Machine videos. Maybe, I can't remember the name, but I saw these guys getting down in Pittsburgh spots, and I was like, oh, mad shit is possible. Like, we went and hit every spot that they got clips on. Like, we're getting clips on all these fucking spots.
Yes. That's amazing.
But not many companies and shit back in the day would come through Pittsburgh. I know before I was really skating, there was DJ's skate shop or DJ skate park, and that was in Aliquippa. And that was like where Kevin Taylor he's got family ties to Pittsburgh as well. So he might have ridden for that shop back in the day, but he definitely was out there skating demos. But that was a little before my time. That was probably early 90s.
It's pretty important. Like, the older you get, you realize that when there was these people in front of you or with you that made it, maybe at the time you didn't realize this, but it did open up this sense like, oh, it's attainable. I can touch that too, you know?
Definitely.
It's like with my friends, they started getting sponsored and stuff, and I was like, oh, like, you know, Bryce Knights is taking photos with you? What the fuck? You know, like, that's like, you're just like, dude, let's go. And I remember the attitude, like, when you're young, it was like, just not caring. Just like, if I have to drive all night and sleep in the back of the trunk, I will. Like, we have to be wherever it is. Yeah. Like, that was really like, it's a lot different for me now, I'll admit. But like, in those days, it was just go, 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 you know, and it was like those little windows that open. Like, people have always told me, and that's what I would say to kids, like, don't pass up an opportunity when you're trying to, because it might be the one, and it might be the only one. You never know. Yeah, no, that's so true, man. And just to know that as a kid, that like, there's somebody that we all look up to, Bryce. For me, it was like KT or Henry Panza. Like, what? Fools from Pittsburgh are doing it? Like, oh, wow. Yeah. Maybe that is something. And I don't even think that had crossed, you know, trying to like make something out of skating. Probably didn't even cross my mind till like late teenager, you know, 17, 18. Before that, it's like you said, just pedal the metal, skate your ass off. I remember, not to get too off topic, but our homie Rob Starr, who does the Fuck Yinz, and he also was like our filmer back there. But we took a trip to Chicago around this time, 17 or 18, and we packed so much in our homie Greg Pascarella's little like SUV, and Rob fucking, for 8 hours from Pittsburgh to Chicago, this fool did not move. We took one pee stop, and he was just like this. I was like, dude, you're giving me fucking claustrophobia just looking at you right there. Like, I had lucked out and got like, you know, I was one of 5 people in the back row that fits 3. So we were like, this is great. Oh, okay.
Dude, to know that somebody from your town is, you know, been there and doing things and still a figure, you're just like, oh, it's so possible. The world is fucking just our oyster.
I'm sure you've told the story before, but what is the origin story of Yinz? How far does it go back?
Beyond my grandparents' generation.
Really?
Yeah, so like my grandmother on my mom's side, the Beaver, because Aliquippa Hopewell is in Beaver County, which is right outside. It's the next county next to Allegheny. Blah blah blah. But her generation, they say Yunz. What are Yunz doing?
Okay.
So
I think I've heard that.
It goes back hundreds of years. I mean, fuck, man.
Is
And
that?
I don't know what. And it's strictly to like Pittsburgh. I mean, obviously now, like all of our friends and people that have been to Pittsburgh and they're just like, oh my God, these people are fucking characters. Like everyone says Yins now, but yeah, Pittsburgh people have that thick ass accent. They say shit that not many people can understand. It's like if in the bayou of Louisiana is the top of that scale of like, what the fuck are they saying? Pittsburgh is like right below them of almost not knowing what they're saying.
Wow.
But you can still fucking hear it a little bit. So yeah, but I remember like Paula, when she met me, my wife now, she was like, ooh, I like your accent. And I was like, what accent, you know? She's like, you from the South or some shit? I was like, no, I'm from Pittsburgh. But I think I've lost it now that I've been in California for fucking like 12 years, you know?
Yeah. I think you got like a little like settled, but it ain't thick or nothing.
Not like when I live there, or even if I go back for more than like a week, it'll start coming in tough.
Oh man. What's the first trip? Like when do you like come to California for the first time or something like that? Cross go west?
Well, I'm
guessing you went to New York or some of those places first.
Yeah. Before we start venturing out west, I gotta like shed light and give props to everything that happened in the East, because as little kids, before we were even affiliated with the skate shop or anything, we would take little filming trips to Akron, Ohio, to Cleveland. So we would go that way just because those towns, Akron, Cleveland, just had a ton of fucking shit to skate.
VTAC country.
Yeah. And we never crossed paths with him or anything, but like
he had spots back there.
But there's so much rad shit, and I can't wait to go back because, you know, from my early teens to my early 20s, we just frequented Cleveland and Akron so much that we had it dialed as much as Pittsburgh. But then we kind of get affiliated. Well, we didn't we did with One Up Skate Shop. But just to backtrack a little bit, so my first job ever was at a skate park, BCubed skate park. I was like 14 going on 15, and it was at the Airport Ice Arena in Pittsburgh. And on the lower floor, they were opening up a skate park. So I told this story in that anti-hero New Zealand trip video, and I could just summarize it real fast for us. But I think I was 9 or 10 years old, and they're opening up a skate park like really fucking close to our house. Indoor park. What? We're going to have something to fucking do in the winter? Like BCubed was the skate park. So we go there, and it was on a dried up ice rink, really fucking smooth floors. You know what I mean? But a bunch of wooden ramps built on that. And I'm doing laps around the outer perimeter, and my dad is trying to get gnarly on a BMX bike. And he'd always had told me his whole life, like he had BMX'd, he could blast jumps, like he'd show me all the shit. Oh, I fucking bombed this hill, got hit by a car here, like doing this and that. And I was like, man, you're crazy. So I'm taking my laps around this ice rink, and one lap around, and I just see like this crowd of people, and I'm so little, 10, I kind of get in there, and there's some guy knocked out, all this blood, and I'm just like, ooh, this is heavy. And I'm like, it's my dad. He had went to like go over this tabletop. The ground was so slick when he went down, front tire zung out to the side, boom, knocks himself out cold. He's snoring, blood everywhere, split his wig, And I went running, ran screaming, crying, trying to find my stepmom. Dad's dead. He's in there. He's dead. Like, I was traumatized. And she woke him up, and we take him to the hospital, and he's like, did we win? And we were like, what do you mean? He's like, did we win the hockey game? And we were like, yeah, you guys won, because my dad and stepmom played deck hockey. So that was another early memory. Deck hockey is where you just run around.
With no skates?
No skates. And so they'd run around, and fucking, these guys were ruthless, man. So I would sit on the bench as a little kid and just hear all these crazy, wild stories, and they're partying and going off in this and that. So yeah, the BCubed skate park opened that indoor thing, and it was downstairs for a few years, and then it moved upstairs. So then boom, I get my first job, and all that we have to do is check wristbands. So we keep it tight for maybe a month, make sure we get a couple paychecks, and then we just started like opening up the back door, letting all the friends in, you know, because for like a 2-hour sesh was $10, for all day was like almost 20. And so charge everyone you don't know, and then the homies are in the back door.
Yeah.
And then that led to, like, you know, just shithead kids not really doing our duties, not cleaning up the park, throwing the trash under the ramps. They caught on to us, letting everyone sneak in, and it was all around the time that this airport ice arena was kind of shit in the bed, because the owner of it had done some tax fraud or tax evasion. And he ends up going to prison for this for a few years. The whole thing shuts down. Mm-hmm. But like, dude, it was a weird zone for a 15-year-old kid. These adult hockey leagues would be having all sorts of weird stuff going on in the locker rooms, and these older dudes would buy us booze, and we were just, it was pretty crazy. But I was cashing a paycheck on the books.
Oh.
To get to skate every day all winter. So granted, we weren't making anything, minimum wage, maybe $5-6 an hour at the time, but we'd clock in and we would go upstairs to the skate park 3 o'clock and skate till 8 every single day.
Fuck.
Until it closed down when we were like 17. So that was like 4 solid years of like, we had somewhere to skate all fucking winter.
Oh, so that's where you really got your fucking...
And that had a big vert wall. It had a couple like tabletops for the BMX guys. It had an epic flat bar, mini ramp, 6-foot ramp. So we kind of learned, that's where we really learned how to skate. This all leads into linking up with the One Up skate shop guys. So the park is like 10 minutes outside of the city. And so the dudes from the city, Shady Skates, had shut down a few years before. They'd always come to there. And they caught wind of our little squad and were like, dude, you guys got to come and fucking hang with us, skate with us. Like, and we kind of knew, oh, if we go and like film and do this, we could get on the shop. And at this time, One Up was still in a store that was called Time Bomb. And Time Bomb was where like all the hip hop scene in Pittsburgh was. So we were seeing all these sick ass rappers too, like Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, all these Pittsburgh legends were affiliated with Brick Diggler, who owned Time Bomb. And like, we'd be like, what? That's Brick with a photo with Method Man and fucking Redman, Ghostface? We were like, this is the sickest shit on earth. And One Up just had a little desk in the back, a mini board wall, and clothes. And that was it.
Huh.
But that's where I had met Mark Brandstetter, Jay Strickland. I'd see Phil Ledjansky, Carrie Getz, Pete Eldridge coming through town. And we had started to know at this point, wow, like these are the fucking baddest dudes on the East Coast, you know? Kevin Taylor, all that shit, Mike Maldonado. So we were like, all right, we got to ride for One Up. This is like the sickest shit ever. And we were little stoner kids at that time, and they had the craziest weed. And we were like, fuck, we're smoking sour diesel that Ghostface probably smoked, this and that. So that leads into all of our trips. So as younger kids, we're going to Ohio. Once we linked up with the shop, we started to go to Washington, D.C. because our friend Klein had went to college in Pittsburgh, but was from Arlington, Virginia. So as 15-year-olds, skate shop owner Greg's like, yo, we're going to go to Pulaski. We're going to stay at Klein's house. And Klein had been friends with Jack Curtin, Darren Harper, all the DC heads. So we'd stayed there and we would just lurk out at Pulaski so tough, like for days on end. I've spent the night at Pulaski, like 4th of July, we get left there. Our skate shop owner, homie Greg, is like nowhere to be found. I'm like, fuck, we're sleeping under the round planters that everyone skates. So that was like the DC connection. But then we would go everywhere because Philly, we had such a tight-knit relationship with everyone at Nocturnal. So that was Kerry Getz, that was Mark Branstetter, that was Jay Strickland. I had met Alyssa at a really early, like teenage years, lurking out in Philly, and Jamal Smith, Jay Klotz, like I said, Pete was still living
Bobby Warris
at that time. And we had seen Bobby like at Pulaski these times. He'd be filming a really rad line somewhere and we'd be like, fuck, we got to stay over here. Like he's got that zone. Like that's his zone. But yeah, New York always had intimidated me as a kid. And there was just so much going on. And I had a hard time getting footy there because it was flat. And I was just used to like crusty, hilly terrain. Right. Like I said, I've never been that good at skating. So like, I'm not a technical skater, but so our whole East Coast vibe there was so cool. Kyle Nicholson, I cannot forget him, dude. Nelly, Big Red, was a filmer out there. These guys straight up were like my ins to the skateboard world.
Oh, rad.
Because I had gotten a few like through Henry Panza. I think Shawkus may have been the Vox TM. Like they piggybacked me a pair of shoes in Henry's Vox. I got one pair of Vox. And we had like kicked it with those dudes in Chicago on a little skate shop trip. And it was like Tyler Surrey, Drahobel, Shawkus. Who's the homie that works at High Speed? Little dude, red hair.
Oh, Freddie?
Freddie was on that trip too, I think. Maybe some affiliation with Vox. I may have even been like in email conjunction with him at some point. Just like,
wow.
So yeah, before anything even happened out west, we had such a tie with like, we had a friend who went to college in Baltimore to an art school. So we knew that whole scene. And it was so easy, just a 4-hour trip. We would do it after a night of like working. Like I said, I might be bouncing around the story now, but we were like janitors at this nightclub in Pittsburgh. And I remember on New Year's Eve one night, you know, we got off work at 3 a.m. We were like, we're hyped up. Let's go to fucking Philly. We all night trip to Philly, roll up to fucking Nocturnal's front doorsteps. Like, we're here. We're the fucking stupid Pittsburgh kids. What's up?
Holy shit. Is like Jake Johnson, he's not from back there?
Oh no, Jake. Yeah. So Jake moved to Pittsburgh around a time that we were all living out there. But I want to say this is a little later, maybe around when I'm like 21. I'm still around like the 18, 19-year-old years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so man, we spent backtrack a little more. We spent so much fucking time in Philadelphia. Like so much time. My first trip to Philly, like I said, I may have not even been 16 yet, but we roll up there, the skate shop's closing down, and my buddy Greg, who owned One Up, Pascarella, affiliated with these guys. Shop's closing down, let's go in the basement. Boom, we're in the basement. Now we're down there, not to glorify anything, but like little kids, stoked, smoking a blunt with my heroes, Maldonado, Kevin Taylor. Carrie's like, I'm closing up the shop. You guys got to get out of here. But I was just like, damn. I'm with like some serious dudes who I've like pretty much tried to skate like my whole life, you know? And now we get to skate together. It was so cool.
Okay. So that was a big moment.
Philly was huge for us. So we'd go back all the time, dude. And I've gotten it for some reason. I don't know if it's a Philly, Pittsburgh beef, whatever it is. We always stayed in South Philly off 5th and Porter was the house. And man, if we didn't get in a fight every trip that we were out there, we got our ass fucking kicked every time we were out there. But we'd hold our own and we would try to fight too. But like, if you had a P on your hat and it was a Pittsburgh P, like no matter where you're at, a house party, a bar, this and that, you're gonna get fucking, someone's gonna try to fucking beat your ass. Oh, it was just like, I couldn't believe, like, yeah, we had probably gotten singled out in Pittsburgh for being like skate kids, and just where our shop was a really like weird strip. It was called East Carson Street in the South Side, and it's all the bros and clowns and the Jersey Shore type, not to knock Jersey Shore, but you know what I mean, like the TV show, not like all our skate homies
situation.
From the Jersey Shore. But they're just like shithead kids, like, we're gonna kick your ass. And then you're like, oh, okay, we'll see about that. Let's see what you got. And it was never on the offensive. We were always on the defensive, trying to fend for ourselves. Hey, can we do a little pee break real fast?
Time out, yeah.
2 seconds. I'll be 2 seconds. I'm outside, so it'll be quick.
No problem.
No, just start recording, please. Please.
I'm not recording. Just go.
Do record.
Okay, well, then go.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is Waylon Trujillo, and you're watching Talkin Schmit.
All right. I feel like now we're almost a bit caught up enough to get sort of into like the West Coast connection.
So you haven't even been West Coast, like even like to Disneyland or any type of vacation yet?
No, so I did take an early trip with my stepdad and my dad and stepmom to like Monterey, San Francisco, when I was real young, dude, but I was still like, I knew the spots. I may have been 14 or 15. Oh, hell yeah. I was like, we got to find 3rd and Army. We got to find Clipper Ledge, and we got to find the 3 up, 3 down.
Wow.
And we found it, dude. I got like I think I did a kick flip or a frontside flip over the macaroni elbow at 3rd and Army. I made my stepmom film it on like a little Sony handy cam.
Cool.
I did a 180 up to like fakie frontside 360 at 3 up, 3 down. And then I got spooked at Clipper. Didn't step to it.
Wow. So you were here, but then
I was here, and I have such faint memories. I don't really remember any of it vividly. I remember being in Monterey and seeing crazy big waves.
Mm.
And then I remember definitely like some like homeless people around the Mission when we were by 3 up, 3 down. Like, whoa, we're in a pretty wild seeming zone, you know?
Yeah.
And then I did the splits at that handrail out in the sunset that P-Rod might have frontside flipped over. It was at a school. Classic 9-stair or 10-stair.
Oh, is it the one out by like Lincoln?
Maybe off Irving or Kirkham?
Washington?
Yeah, maybe that one.
The one that everyone's got like Cairo nollied over it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did the splits there, but I had already been having like fucked up knees since I was even a younger kid. Like,
oh, really?
Totally, yeah. So I've always had loose knees. But yeah, so I had been to the West Coast only then, but my skate connection to the West Coast. So like, this is what I'm saying. Even as a really young kid, I just knew like there's skating happening out there too.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean Conover, do you know that name?
Yeah, I know Sean.
So he's from Florida, and I had linked up with Evan Smith really young because his uncle lived in Pittsburgh. So I had kind of got to know these guys around like 13, 14. And Sean's dad lived in Pittsburgh. So Sean would occasionally visit in the winter, but he was like, we were nobodies, barely even shop sponsors, but he was on like a couple companies that we were like, damn, this guy's kind of doing it. Ezekiel maybe, and like some board company out of Florida. But he had been living in San Diego or was about to live in San Diego. So I knew right then, like, dude, I want to fucking come and stay with you and try to skate SD for like a week or whatever. So this is where I wish I had a better timeline of this story. But so I think it was probably around 16. I come and stay with him in Ocean Beach at his house in San Diego.
Oh, sick.
And it just so happens to be that Davis Torgeson was his friend as well. We're there at the same time. So then I established a Minneapolis connection. So then that would start our Pittsburgh treks to Minneapolis. And I had met not many SD people because it was really only me and Davis and Sean skating. But I really want to say that we had met Ivory Turner around that time. And he's a filmer down there.
Yep.
Lokester. I think his dad used to be like an old school downhill, like speed skateboarder type of guy. So that was like, what? San Diego's so fucking sick. And I think I was getting clowned by my Pittsburgh homies because I was like, ooh, when I'm fucking old enough, I'm going to SD. Like, fuck Pittsburgh. Fuck the winter, you know? And especially Henry Panza was like, so diehard East Coast, like Ricky Oyola. He was like, that's whack. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm doing me. Like, you guys are on your own now.
Huh.
So, and I hadn't met anyone at that point. I hadn't met any Walker. I hadn't met Dave Cole. Any of my shuffle connection hadn't established that yet.
Okay.
So I made it through high school and I was like, fuck, I got to go live in SD. Like, I tried to take some college classes out there and basically had met like Dave Cole and John Lupfer when I probably should have started taking these classes. And I was already heavy partying, like drinking like a maniac. And I fully didn't attend anything. I tore my ACL like 2 months after, completely just quit, you know, after maybe 3 months, and was just crashing at the Shuffle House at the time, which was like John Lupfer, Dave Cole, Walker would poke down occasionally. The dude who owned the house was our friend Andy Arabito. He was a Navy SEAL, so he would be out of town on tour in Iraq a lot of the time, and we would just be there partying, this and that. And yeah, like I said, it was off to a great start. Like, had a place to stay, was filming.
Did you get in the ocean at all?
We would just like take dips, you know.
Not surf though.
Boxers, just dive in and cool down and run back out. I had grown up going to the Outer Banks and like Virginia Beach and Myrtle Beach as a kid. That was like a really big Pittsburgh East Coast thing, is like summertime, everyone takes their trip, big families get together and they all just rent a little house or get hotel rooms, go to the beach. So I have been in tune with the ocean my whole entire life, as young as I could remember, like getting sucked out in rip currents, bodyboarding, boogie boarding.
Yeah.
Tried to rent a surfboard at one time and was like, I can't do this, you know? But so back to that like shuffle connection. So I start to get footy, start skating with like the Skate Mafia guys. We're lurking out at OB Park, super tough, cranny, real blender, like Neil Headings, Hewitt, all the fucking guys that were like, wow, this is so fucking radical. And then I get, so this must be before I tore my ACL, because like this, at this point, college was totally out the window. I had got busted partying and like the cops came and we hit all this shit outside of like somebody's window. And I had kind of just fucked myself up school wise. Like, I don't know if it was like a suspension or whatever it was, but I had already known at that point I didn't want to do any of that. And I would rather just work and skate. Because back in Pittsburgh, I had already worked at Panera, at the skate park. I had worked as a barback, all these stupid fucking jobs that I was like, I can just work and get by. So we're kicking it with Smolik, Brandon Turner, Anthony Mosley. Like, I could go on and on, the sickest list of fucking dudes. And I think I started getting flowed Skate Mafia boards, but it wasn't anything official through like Dan Connolly or anything, but it was kind of just like boards in the van. Oh, here's Austin and Dave Cole. I'm going to break them off each with like a couple boards, you know?
Okay.
So we got Mafia boards for a little bit. And then, yeah, like I said, I think I tore my ACL. And at the same time, my buddy Dave Crave had like blown his elbow off. So I get my knee redone. And within a few weeks or a month, my homie Dave blew his elbow off and had to stick a rod like halfway up his forearm. So we sat at the house. I just call it the Shuffle House, but it was like the Linda Vista house or whatever it was. And we just sat there together and kind of just recovered together. So we grew like a super tight bond, and we got to skating again together. And before we should have even been skating, either of us, it was like, let's just go to OB Park and catch hot laps. Like, no grinds, no nothing. Let's just pump. And then that turned into like, we're healing a little more. Let's go to Washington Street. And that's where I feel like Dave is the reason that I kind of learned how to skate like real transition and not just a 6-foot ramp at a skate park, you know?
Yeah.
But it was recovering from that ACL surgery, skating too soon, learning how do I adapt to my new fucked up body to be able to skate, you know? And that worked out for me. It was like pumping, carving, catching grinds.
Yeah.
Which eventually led back into street skating again, but it was a long fucking time, man. And they gave me a brace. I didn't wear a brace. They told me to go to rehab. I went one time. Like I've never been good with that conventional recovery method.
Like physical therapy and whatnot.
Yeah, like I'm like, I'll just work my skate muscles back on my own. You know, I can't get on a fucking bench press machine and bench press my legs and expect to like get my skate muscles back, was my mentality, which I don't know. Maybe if I would have went their route, I would have been better off than I am now. But I'm happy to where I'm at. You know, I'd blown out my other knee a little further down the road. We'll get to that. But yeah, like as skaters, we just adapt, we heal and figure it out.
What's the best shit you saw go down at the under the bridge over there in Washington Street?
Dude, anytime that Hewitt would turn it on, we were just blown away and fucking amazed. And we had only heard tales from like Ivory of like, oh, wait till you see fucking Pete turn it on. Cause we're like, we see Pete here a lot, but like, he's just laying low. He's like, shut up, just wait. And we're like, all right. Definitely seen Neil Headings get down. Rye Clancy was a local. I don't know if that Rye, but that's what I call him, Rye Clancy. But Rye was always sweatpants, biggest backside airs, just no grab, like backside always sick shit. And Alex Perlson's brother was.
Oh yeah, what's his
Brandon
name?
was Brandon was
yeah.
always there, fucking destroying it. Tom Grom, we'd always try to steal Tom's lines because he had it super dialed. Hits, if you saw a Hits sighting, getting some down there, that was.
What about Chris Cope?
Man, I'm wondering if Chris was kind of lurking SD a little later than I was.
A little after that?
Because I've always been a fan of Chris Cope, and like he's just amazing to watch. And
yeah,
but I don't know if I ever got to see his like Washington Street destruction. Harry, fucking Ryan Harris was a heavy. Washington Street had lines. We were like, this motherfucker is so good.
Okay. So you met Rhino early then, right? Did you?
Oh man, if we had met, it would have just been a quick like,
oh,
I didn't know you, you didn't know me, but nice to meet you. Maybe through Cranny or something like that. But around the same time that I started getting that skate mafia flow, Cranny was like, yo, OJ is about to fire up again. We want to give you wheels. Are you down? And I was just like, fuck yeah. Because Cranny was such a lokester at the park. We were just friends. I didn't know him as like Creature Cranny or like, I didn't even know his footy. I just knew, damn, this guy is so fucking cool, funny. He's like down for us. We love him. But we knew like, okay, what? OJ, fuck yeah, let's do it. So he was then my introduction and connection with getting indies. I didn't even never got indies from Rhino in the first place. It was only because they piggybacked them into my NHS OJ.
Oh, from the OJs. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But then Skate Mafia slowly translated into like I think we had started to travel up north a little bit. Oh yeah, the cat.
Sick cat shot. I just did a profile real quick.
The kitty hangs with me because the kids are too wild for her. But yeah, so Cranny starts sending the OJs. The skate mafia was never like, it hadn't turned into us going on any trips, but just like, those are our brothers still to this day. Like, those are my brothers for life.
I love those guys.
They're the best. And
for sure.
Harry started getting Santa Cruz, and he was like, dude, I will get you Santa Cruz boards if you're down. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm down. And I think at this time I had recovered from the ACL. I'd probably popped back to the East Coast. I had been staying out in Philly, and these guys had also done a revamp of Axion shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what? You guys are about to go on a trip to the West Coast, like a month-long cross-country trip? And I was talking with Kyle, staying with Kyle Nicholson, and I was like, dude, what do I got to do? Like, I've been filming with you guys, the same squad. You guys are all getting these shoes. Like, I'm spray painting my fucking shoes to, like, look like yours. Like, I just want to be in. Can I get on this trip? He's like, I don't know, dog. Like, I don't know. You're going to have to talk to Plane. You got to talk to Plane. And I was like, oh, shit. So they were at Nocturnal, about to get in the van and leave. And I'm like, there, like, lost puppy with my book bag. Like, all right, guys. Like, later. I'll catch a fucking mega bus back to Pittsburgh, I guess. Like, good seeing you guys. And Plane just came up to me. He's like, what's up? You want to roll with us? And I was like, dude, I'd be honored. Like, he's like, all right, don't fucking blow it. Get down, get as much shit as you can. Let's do it. I was like, thank you so much. I'm there. Let's do it. Did a month-long trip, and we got tons of shit. And halfway through that trip is when Harry called me. Do you want to get some fucking NHS? You know, you're already on OJ. Do you want to get Santa Cruz flow? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was Jordan.
Shout out.
At the time was the team manager.
Wow.
So I start getting, and he graduated with Paula, my wife's older sister. So like, he's known Paula, my wife, since she was a little ass kid.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was a real small world, but like Cranny and fucking Jordan were so good to us, dude. Like, I'd get 12 boards in a box, almost 20 sets of wheels, like fucking 10 sets of indies. Cranny is like, power box, slang it at the shop. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Here comes the nice.
And so I did that for a long time, dude. Like, I think OJ kind of got my foot, and Cranny got me like a little more in the door of the skate world, you know? Because I think Axion was kind of looked at like, what, these idiots are trying to like revamp this company again. Like, good luck. But it was a sick squad. Javier Nunez, Kyle Nicholson, me, Mike Maldonado, Kevin Taylor, Manny Santiago. Like,
Manny.
I don't know.
Dude, I might have met you. I don't know if you were with them, but they came to SF, and we got, Alyssa and I took them to this rail, like out by like her house. It's like down these, I forget exactly where it was, but Manny was with them.
I kickflipped it.
I was there.
I was filming, and Alyssa did like an ollie off like some ledge. Like,
yeah, no, I knew I had met you a long time ago before anything. Yeah, and we filmed a double rock, an Axion double rock.
Yes.
So I met Felper then.
Okay. Yeah.
We were just like, I think I was 21 at that point, and I was just like, this is so cool. We were so baked off like with hash balls and all the shit that I was like, it was such a foggy memory, but I remember it was so amazing. And that was this trip that I forget if Manny did like burial heel back 50 or nollie heel back 50 on Clipper, but the night before we were just getting into it, like, you know, friends do on a trip when you're like sick of each other. And I think I had soaked his board in the bathtub all night. Just as like a fucking, because I don't know why we were just like that, you know.
Yeah.
And because he was so amped up. Clipper, tomorrow we're gonna get this, and I like soaked the board in the bathtub. And he still got it on that board too.
Damn.
It may have been the first San Francisco skate trip with like a company, but I'd definitely been through the Bay with like Dave Cole and Harry and those shuffle guys. But we would go up to like Angwin and to like these northern towns. And maybe we'd tap in with Oakland, but never much in the city at first.
Okay. That's sick.
So then, yeah. So that was the Axion, Santa Cruz, OJ, but I started to get indies. And that was like one of my most proud fucking stoked moments in skating to that point was like fucking indies in a box.
Yeah.
I was pretty blown away by that, you know, because I thought everything else that I was kind of like getting nothing was too official or too legit in my mind. But once like I got a couple indie shirts and a couple indies, I just thought, wow, like, fuck, that's heavy.
Right. Damn. So how does that, so you were still living back in Pittsburgh when that happened, or you were couch surfing in San Diego?
So the couch surfing in San Diego turned into summer times in Pittsburgh. You always got to go back to the East Coast.
Okay.
Because it's nice and nowhere is better than Pittsburgh in the summer. In my mind at that time was like, if you miss a Pittsburgh summer, then you're missing everything that there is in the world, you know?
Wow.
So I think until I was 21 or something, I was doing that, bounce West Coast to Pittsburgh. But then around this time is when Jake Johnson had moved to Pittsburgh. And me and him and my Pittsburgh crew were skating every day, super tough. You know, we'd been hanging out so tough and had built such like a close friendship. And he was like, if you could ride for any company, what would it be? And I was like, I don't really know. Like, that never really mattered too much to me. And I don't feel like I would fit in too well anywhere anyways, you know? And so he invited me on an alien trip with like Joe Brook, Jason Dill, Jake, Kevin Turpening. We went down to Atlanta to link up with Grant and like, who was the filmer? Benny Megliano. I want to say, I hope I said his name right, but like, those guys were so fucking cool to me, man. And like, I got a bunch of footy on that trip and Dill just like blew my mind. I was like starstruck, but tripped out and just like, holy fuck, this guy's brain is like 1,000 miles a minute. Like I thought I was going fast. He's a mega trip.
Yeah.
And he kind of schooled me through some cool shit. Cause like I had got a sequence on that trip that was in the last print of Slap. It was like the contents page. And I was just so like on edge this whole trip, just like, fuck, they're like, feels like they're trying me out, but I don't even know what this is. It feels so like, it's just like angsty. And he's like, Austin, just fucking calm down, dude. Like you're here to fucking skate with us. Like it's all good. And that really fucking resonated with me. And I was just like, all right, sick. We're just here to skate. So that was the last trip of their green alien workshop van. If you remember that thing, we were just driving down the highway one night and on the way to like Atlanta or Asheville, North Carolina, and boom, and the thing just bounces. And it was like the transmission blowing out from underneath it. So I was in the last hoorah of that green alien van. And it was so cool, man. Just like Terps. And then we picked up Grant from some bowling alley or some bar, and we met Thomas and went to the house and skated Atlanta. And fuck, man, that was an awesome trip. But it didn't even work out that like they wanted me or I wanted, you know, it was just, I think it was more like a homie thing. Like, oh, Austin's ripping in Pittsburgh, skating with Jake. Let's bring him on the trip.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. So that was a cool one too. I'm glad that we touched on because I've been so stoked on Dill ever since then. And anytime we see each other, it's all just like gratitude, you know? Homies.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's crazy, like kind of like Jake was, where his mind, especially with a little coffee, it's insane how just like rapid fire shit's going.
But he has connection to Pittsburgh as well. I think that's where his grandmother was from.
Oh, okay.
So we had some camaraderie there too, you know?
Huh.
Yeah. Well, so dude, I was just like, I felt like, you know, my whole life going through skating, I had just been around and with so many fucking like influential people that I had already felt content with, you know, where I was at, not even being anything in skating. I was like, it don't even matter to me because I get to roll with all the sickest and people that everyone's looked up to. So I was just like, this is cool. I'll just ride and skate. That's all.
And then what happens? Well, how does the board sponsor come along?
So then Jake, after that alien trip, at this point, I'm working at the campus deli, which is just some fucking deli out there. And me and a couple skate homies had worked there together. And I was like the delivery guy. And you would get your delivery orders and they would print out on a paper. You'd get the address. You'd see what they paid. You'd see what they would tip. And you'd be like, what? Your ass tipped like 17 cents? But one, I'm in no rush to get this to you.
Yeah.
And two, I'm just leaving this shit on your doorknob and I'm not even going to knock on your fucking door. Or even like, yeah, we never did anything crazy, but like we would totally like eat their French fries and like give them the order without the French fries. Never anything like too gross or anything. But so Jake and them are in town and he's like, dude, I'm going to go out to San Francisco and I want to buy you a ticket and you could come and film with me and I'm going to stay with Ryan Garshell. And I was like, dude, I am not going to say no to a plane ticket to San Francisco when I'm here in Pittsburgh working this shitty ass job. Like, I would love to. Thank you. So Jake bought me a ticket to SF and from there we're just filming with Ryan. And a couple Pittsburgh friends had come with as well, and we're all just staying in the Tenderloin at the same house. And that was crazy. I had seen so much crazy shit out of that front door on Eddy Street that I was just like, at a young age, I was 21. I just thought it was so fucking such a cool place. Like, I'm like, you got to move fast or else you're going to get fucked up around here.
Yeah.
But it was super productive too. Like I got tons of footage. And at that point I had met Paula one night on 16th Street. So I'd met this girl and I was just like, what? SF is so sick. And I met
Where'd you meet her? At Delirium or something?
Yeah, Delirium.
Yes.
Yeah, so we met at Delirium and we were making out on the side of the bar and me and my buddy Drew were hanging out and we were with one of our other friends and we were like, what's up? Where you girls going tonight? Like, can we roll with? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going back to her mom's house, like right down the street, this and that. So we're like, what? This is fucking on. And we walked them all the way back, wasted. Like we could have stayed and partied, but we're like, nah, this rules. Get back there and they're like, all right, thanks for the walk, good night. Like shut the door and we were like, ooh, burn. Like they got us. But we were like, fuck it, we walked them home, you know. And but that began like me and Paula's whole relationship together. And at this point I was still migrating back to the East Coast in the summer.
Okay.
And but then one night around this whole time that I'm kicking it in the Bay, I'm kicking it at Ryan's in the city, but I had all my friends in Oakland and the compound was still going then with the ramp. And so like at that point, Mo lived there.
Shout out.
Matlock lived there. Fucking Ken Nagahara lived there.
Oh,
Harry lived there. I would stay at the compound when I wasn't staying in SF. So all the Oakland squad, and I had met like Squirrel and D and a lot of those guys in San Diego. Like they had come down maybe on an ergophobia trip or whatever that clothing company was. But they were always putting in my ear like anti-hero. And I was just like, dude, that's so far from being an attainable thing. Like, I don't even think that's possible. But to way backtrack, Hewitt had given me 3 pink anti-hero boards. Like it was this beachy pink graphic in San Diego because he was really good friends with Ivory and me and Ivory were very close too. We lived in Ivory's basement for a long time. And even Ivory had mentioned like, dude, like you got this fucking, like you're just amped. Like I could see you riding for anti-hero. And I even thought then like, that's such a crazy thought, like never in a million years, you know? Like that would be the farthest from a company that I could ride for. And Hewitt gave me those 3 boards. And even then I was like, this is so cool. Like I got some anti-hero boards from Peter fucking Hewitt, but I never thought it would be like anything where I would be today.
Right.
But then we're skating double rock one evening, and our like 3-hour session had turned into all the anti-hero team had come through for like a Friday night drive-by, which became an edit, whatever, you know, like a double rock edit. And I had known Body at this point just from like not skating, but maybe like just lurking around 16th Street, you know?
Yeah.
And Gut was there, and I had known Gut.
Yeah.
Gut and Bod, I had met them, and they were cool to me. Like they were trying to heckle me a little bit, but I was just like, I know you guys type. Like I grew up with fuckers like you my whole life. Like good luck, you know? But then I think Andy had just got out of prison at this point too, and he was on fire. Like he was super stoked. Dog Boy was there. Alden was there. Frank was there. Tony Vitello was there. And mind you, Tony Vitello has always been so fucking like nice and cool to me that I just always felt like so comfortable around the mag, which, you know, I had heard people, you know, would kind of get maybe not that treatment. So I was just like, everything felt so family style, like all the homies, all this and that. And ended up all my buddies that I was skating in the park with before anti-hero guys had showed up had all left. And they were like, all right, Austin, we'll see you later. Like, have fun. Skated with everyone. And I think that kind of initiated my, like maybe getting on their radar a little more. Cause I had been friends with Timo too. Like just going to Oakland and meeting these guys. And, but anti-hero, a box never came in the mail until after we had built the Detroit skate park, which is all around the same time, like 21, because it is the 10-year anniversary of that this summer. So that was about 10 years ago that we built that.
Wow.
I know.
So that's 2012?
Yeah, I want to say it was 2012.
Okay.
I would have been 22 at that point, but we're in a 1 to 2 year time frame that we're real close to getting this thing dialed in.
So you're out there in Detroit working on that DIY with Pat Lana and who? Bino?
So it was Snowman, Pat Lana, Harry, Timo, Bino, Preston came out with us. Joe Brook was out there. Fuck, I'm gonna feel bad if I forget anyone because Lauren Stalker was out there, like documenting, taking photos.
Oh wow.
Oh man, I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but yeah. So that Detroit park happened as winter was ending in San Francisco. And that was like the pivotal SF trip where it all kind of started to click. Like I had met Jake and Jake was being fucking cool to me. And I'd met Andy and Rainey was staying out there at Andy's and all this and that. But I go back to Pittsburgh again for the summer. And those guys, I caught wind that they were building that park in Detroit. So I had a friend of mine, Lunchbox. I'm like, yo, give me a lift out to Detroit. We can hang with these guys for the night. You guys could drop me off. And so they drove me from Pittsburgh to Detroit, dropped me off at the park. And I wasn't even getting paid. I was just volunteer. So we were like, me and Harry were saving all the beer cans, taking them down to the liquor store, recycling them for little food scraps and beer, and just like piggybacking off the whole crew. Because Pat was making money, Mo was making money, Bino was making money. And we were just like, well, sweet, we don't got fucking shit. We're like sleeping in a tent in the backyard of this abandoned house. You guys all got a house. Like, just break us off with your fucking scraps, you know? And we got promised, like, maybe you'll get some money on the back end of it. And we were just like, we ain't getting shit. Who cares? Like, we're out here. Let's just enjoy this and live it up, you know?
Did you guys get fucked with it all? It's gnarly out there.
Yeah, so we were in where that skate park is like a little Bangladeshian neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then there's the skate park and then the road, and across the road is like, it gets a little more hood. But no, we never got rousted once. I mean, if you're sleeping in a tent in the backyard of an abandoned building, people probably don't want much to do with you, let alone we had befriended the neighbors big time, Boo and Betty, this older couple who you might have met.
Yeah, she passed
when we were out there. And they were just so fucking cool to us, man. They just like would bring us breakfast in the morning and bring us their 5 o'clock gin was the name of this, like the cheapest gin you could buy. So we partied with them tough, and we kicked it with them and loped out with them tough. So we never had any issues out there, though. You were like, yeah, if you act a fucking fool, you're probably gonna get checked, you know.
Yeah, I remember it was probably a year, maybe not even a year. It was like the skate rock trip. We went out there after you guys built it. And the first night we just went straight to it was like nighttime. I forget, like 11, probably 11-ish at night. We go straight to the DIY. We go straight into Betty's. Fucking Pat's like, we're here. And they're just drinking and partying and just having the best time. And
and they're like, welcome. We missed you guys. Like,
it was
where you been for the last 2 years or whatever it was.
Provoking the stoke.
And then remember that also that spot. I don't know if you were with it. I'm pretty sure you were with us. We went to these banks and like got a couple clips. There was like a bank to wall and like
the school that had all the crazy cobblestone or not.
No, it was like a loading dock place.
Huh.
And Ben Rayborn was with us too, and he did some, but
he got knocked out at the
that was later, but we were skating there.
I think I might have missed a few days of that, but I did eventually tag in.
Well, we were skating there and the cops came up and they're like, hey, they see you. They will see you. You guys shouldn't be here. Like, it was basically like, get out of here. You guys are crazy with those cameras and everything. And we're like, all right, we'll wrap it up. You know, we had a pretty good squad. We had probably 15 guys. So we're just like, all right, we're just going to get a couple more clips and then we're out of here. But I just remember going like, this is a different, not too many cities where the cops come and tell you just like, like, what are you guys doing?
I know, like, fucking, you guys are in the wrong neck of the woods style.
So were you on Anti-Hero when the skate rock happened?
Yeah. So after we had built that DIY in Detroit, Mo and Bino and maybe it was just Mo. Maybe it was Mo and Bino both, but they were like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, we just talked to Julian, and are you down to be like the next flow guy on Anti-Hero? And I was like, for sure. Like 100%, I'll throw the Santa Cruz fucking board in the river. Like,
you're going to have to get rid of OJ, get rid of Santa Cruz. You can't wear Creature Green anymore.
So at that point, Cranny had already got phased out of OJ. So I was already kind of like, fucking, this sucks. Cranny was my guy. Like, I don't even know if I want to keep doing that anyways. And I had never got invited on any Santa Cruz trips. And I knew that it was kind of like a disposable ship over there, like you could kind of be let go and whatever. So when I caught wind of, being able to ride for Anti-Hero, fuck yeah, I'd rather be flow for Anti-Hero than flow for anything else. So, and I got Spitfires in that box too. So I was like, all right, maybe that means that I get to ride Spitfires too. And I think I had bummed out like Jordan Tabiote on at that point, and maybe even whoever else, because I had left a couple texts and like couldn't really get a response because I was like, hey, I think I got this rad opportunity and I want to follow it. Like, it's just my path. Like, no hard feelings. Thank you for everything. And long story short, maybe they were bummed. I'm really good friends with Jordan to this day. Like, he shot that last Anti-Hero ad at the Dick with the kids. So we're still brothers, and he got phased out and I would have got phased out eventually. So then after Detroit, I get that first Anti-Hero deluxe box to my dad's house in Aliquippa. And I was just like, wow. And it was a split box for me and Harry too. So that was kind of like, Harry had the opportunity to fucking chomp it too and get down. But that was the point that I knew. I was like, all right, stop fucking around. Like, it's time to kick it into high gear and like go after the shit. Like, you've always, I've always been so hungry and loved skating and just loved getting down. So that was just one more reason to fucking just go haywire and really want to take it more serious than I had for the last 6 years of my later teenage, early 20s life. Just woo,
So had you met Julian yet?
No. And there was like talk of him and Andy maybe coming out to check out the park, but they never had. But also a little before this Detroit thing happened, I go back to Pittsburgh and the Axion guys are coming through town, and things at Axion had started to change too. And it started to get like cornier and weirder. And I was just like, this fucking isn't my cup of tea either. And they came through town and I was down at the river fishing, like with some friends, drinking beers, fishing. And they're like, what's up? Are you hopping in the van? We're leaving on tour. And I was just like, nope, I think I'm going to stay back. And I remember Brandstetter pulled me aside and was like, what? You going to end up like all these other burnouts in Pittsburgh? Like, fuck that. That's fucking weak if you do that. I was like, dude, it's just what I feel is right for me. And so me and him had hard feelings towards each other too for a little while, which we've totally squashed. We're like brothers to the end now, but that was he was TM and he wanted me to be there with them. And I just had kind of wanted to stay back in Pittsburgh and film. I didn't want to go on this trip, and I really didn't want to ride for Axion anymore at that point either. But that was my first paid sponsor. I was getting like $250 a month.
Oh shit.
And so they were like, that's fucking whack. But then shortly after, Greg, the owner of One Up, had got in touch with Ryan DeWitt, who was at Vans at the time. Check out my fucking little homie Austin's footy. Like, he wants to ride for Vans, which I didn't like ever vocalize that to Greg. I just would get Vans from the shop. And then DeWitt started sending me Vans when I was about 21, 22.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
And you've been getting them ever since?
Ever since, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's rad.
So I'm almost on like a 10-year Vans anniversary.
Yeah, that rules.
So that was cool. And then I had jumped ships from NHS, started getting the anti-hero stuff, and I was talking, calling, texting. We were even postcarding, me and Paula. And she was going on a trip to Central America, and I was burning out in Pittsburgh. It was starting to get cold, and I got a job opportunity out in North Dakota to do some concrete work. And I had got a little concrete experience from the Oakland guys and then from that Detroit trip. So I decided, all right, I'll take the Amtrak from Pittsburgh to North Dakota and capitalize on a little work. So I did that, and then it got too cold to work out there anymore. And DeWitt was like, yo, do you want to come to Tampa Am? I'll buy you a ticket. I was like, I would love to. We're about to get out of North Dakota. I'm going to drive with these workers to Bend, Oregon. Like, can you get me a ticket from Bend to Tampa? He's like, yeah, where do you want to return to? And I was like, well, fuck, it's cold on the East Coast. Like, send my ticket back to SF. I'll figure it out. And so DeWitt got me a ticket from Oregon to Tampa. I totally blew it. I suck at contests. And I think when it was my turn to have a run, I had just like Houdini'd because I couldn't even face the contest realm, and hit up some homies at the gas station. Like, fuck, I just got a ticket from Vans to skate this contest. And I'm like hiding at the gas station. I suck, They're like, whatever. But that trip ended up being like cool. I met Rainey, I met Ronnie, I had reconnected with John Alden, and it was like, they're like, what are you doing after this? I was like, I got a ticket back to SF. And so back to SF, and Preston was living out there at the time, and meanwhile, Preston and I had already been together on OJ trips back on the East Coast, like visiting Freddie. I met Fred Gall, me and Cranny and P-Stone doing the Jersey, Brooklyn, fucking whirlwind with Frex and Danny DeCola. And like, it was just such an awesome time, dude.
Yeah.
And so I had already had this connection with P-Stone too, because that whole OJ trip in New York, and I was like, guys, we got to go to Pittsburgh. Like, I live in this 3-story fucking BMXer's house. He's the last BMXer left. It's all skaters now. We're the fucking, we called it the pirate ship because it was just really was like a pirate ship, you know? And there were literal, like, we had some friends over and our friends' girlfriends, and we're upstairs in this top floor because I think at that point the BMXer was in the basement. 3 skaters were on the top floor. The middle floor was just like ransacked. Wow. Holes in the wall, party zone. And we're up there doing whatever on the top floor, maybe playing video games, something. And we just hear this girl in the middle floor screaming. We're like, oh, fuck. We run downstairs. We're like, what? He's like, look at that kitchen. And there's like a 6-foot snake coming out of the wall.
Whoa.
Huge, giant fucking snake. There's all these holes in the walls. We got the snake and we got it outside. And so we had all these massive OJ stickers. Remember those circle ones that were like that big? So we covered up every hole in the house with these stickers. But one kid had this clear plexiglass and he like put it over the one hole where the snake came out of. And dude, like people saw snakes crawling through those walls.
Wow.
And what kind of the lead up of this weird story is, so the OJ trip, we end up in Pittsburgh, and P-Stone, of course, being P-Stone, wanted to stay in the dirt cellar of the lower basement of this house. And we're like, Stone, there's like carpeted zones and like couches. Nope. He was setting up shop.
I got my spot.
He was setting up shop in the fucking dirt cellar. And he woke up the next morning and he's like, hey, Cam man, check this out. And I'm like, what? What's up, Stone? And he's like, shh. And he has a tail, dried up rattlesnake tail. I still have it in a Tupperware at my dad's house back in Pittsburgh. He's like, found this in the basement. And we were like, dude, there's not rattlesnakes in fucking Pittsburgh. But lo and behold, there is like some breed that, you know, lives around these hilly areas of Pittsburgh. But leave it to Preston to find the rattler.
I remember that trip.
I was so proud of him. I told everyone I knew about that shit. Like, P-Stone stayed in our basement and found the dried up tail of a fucking rattlesnake.
He loved Pittsburgh. I remember after that trick when he came back, he's like, "We got to get back to Pittsburgh." I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I gotta get back there.
Yeah, man. He gave us so much love, and he really was the one who excelled my ass farther into like getting in with you guys at Thrasher and getting the foot in the door at Deluxe. Like, you know, you can do as much as you can yourself as a skater, but he was just every morning wanted to pick me up and skate, you know?
Well, you're the perfect guy for Preston. I mean, like, you're up early and you're ready to go. That's the kind of people you don't want. Like, Preston's not waiting until noon. You know, like if you're sleeping until noon and you're hungover and there's a chance you're gonna skate, like nah.
Yeah, we were on it.
Kanfoush is ready at 7. I got a coffee. We're gonna pick up a little quick bite, and then we're hitting about 4 spots in the avenues. We're gonna take it over to Crocker and meet up with the gut.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna swing into the Mission, grab Jordy in the bod and fucking Daphnoa. We're gonna get Blackberries at fucking 500 by around 6, and we got this little spot around the corner that has the best burritos in the city. Like,
are you out of your mind? Totally, dude. And Gut at that time had been in between grind line jobs, and that's what it was every morning. P-Stone and Gut would pick me up. We'd go to Rosamundi or whatever.
Rosamund,
and we'd get a PBR and a brat, and then we would skate all day. And so we had done that all winter, and I'm back in Pittsburgh again for a summer. And I think Paula had tagged along with me this time, and we might have had even got a little apartment as well. And I'm at the skate shop, and some anti-hero Blu-ray edit comes up, and boom, lo and behold, there's like all this footage of me. And I was like, what the fuck? And my Pittsburgh homies were like, what the fuck? And that was kind of like, I better take it more serious. Like they're kind of down for me, I think, you know.
I didn't even know we were filming.
Yeah, I mean, I just was like, because my homie Rob was like, what Rob the filmer back in Pittsburgh, what the fuck have you been up to? And I'm like, dude, we're just like loked out at Potrero. So tough, dude. I was like, we're just little skate park rats again, like little kids down here. Because that's where I would go every single day. And lo and behold, that video comes out and we had a bunch of street footy, and Rob was like, what? You told me you were just at the park all fucking day. I'm like, I guess we weren't. Like, I guess we did wander out and hit the streets, you know?
Yeah, that's sick.
Can we do a pee break again, Schmidt?
Yeah, I'm going to do one too. Absolutely.
All right.
A 3-piece.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how soon did you learn not to say the word what?
Oh my God, Stone got me with that until his last days. Dude. He really did. I just was always so like, just kind of amazed by Preston, and just also kind of like studying him, just like such a character, you know, like I was always on his level, but I was never on his level of just, he was always a few steps ahead of me with his wit and his humor.
His attitude rubbed off on a lot of people, though. I see it today, and at first I was like, I don't know, I get weird with dead people, so I just get bummed sometimes. But
totally, I know.
I see like people emulating Preston, and I feel like it's like, but then now like time's gone by and wounds have healed and all that. I feel so blessed because it's like, no, these dudes took this dude that was a rad dude and took this good element of him and are incorporating it into their life. They're trying not to complain. They're always working. They're always pushing themselves to make life better. You know, all those things that Preston would do. And it's just like, it's really inspiring to just be like, you do, you know, kind of like give you whatever, like you take shotgun. I don't want it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'll sit in the middle. I don't care. Like that attitude and stuff. And just like I'm up early and I'm doing your dishes and I'm up late and we're laughing and drinking beers.
Yeah.
Like,
he was always just so fucking hospitable, man. Like he could have his last anything on earth and it's yours before his, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing that we all were fortunate to have the time that we did with the guy.
I know, man. And I didn't feel like I had much, you know, but I had my little window of time, and yeah, I hold him dear, dude.
Fuck,
we had some hilarious times, some fucking wild times, some all sorts of shit, man. And yeah, I don't know, dude. When he was I was able to tell him, you know, we're pregnant with Ozzy, and he was like, fucking diaper bash at the skate park, we're doing this. Like because he had been in Pittsburgh when Henry Panza had his diaper bash at the print shop warehouse ramp, and he was so stoked that he went to a diaper bash in Pittsburgh with Henry. Like he couldn't stop telling me about it, man. And at that time I had been west, you know, so I missed it, but I felt like I sure was there with the stories I heard from Preston.
Man, I remember when Oscar was born, Preston's first child, and we all went to the hospital and met Anna and oh man, I mean, the guy, he just was the perfect guy for that role.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's hard work. It ain't all easy having a kid.
No, and
Preston
scary,
would come home late at night and get woke up early by Oscar jumping on him. He'd be like, little man had me up at 4. Didn't sleep that much, but he's just laughing, loving it. It was just,
I know.
It's just the greatest. I mean, I am so fortunate to have so many miles with that guy and so many like experiences where, like you said, you just kind of like take it in. Like I knew that like he was the show, like he wanted to be the show. That's what me and Craddy would always say is like, don't ever tell Preston anything because he needs to be the guy like that tells like, hey Preston, I think there's a burrito. Shit. You think I don't know about the burrito spot? We're going to the cheesesteak spot, Schmitty. We don't have time for that one this time.
Are you out of your mind?
So, I mean, we could talk about him forever. One thing I did want to bring up, though, was that skate rock trip from Detroit to New Orleans or whatever.
Yeah.
You were in the back of our car.
Yeah.
Right? You were in the Timo van with me and Joe Brook and Gut and Fatty.
Yep. Julian, that was actually like my first. Okay, so to backtrack a bit, I think I had met Julian maybe in passing in San Francisco, and probably rocking some anti-hero gear, and introduced myself like, dude, I'm Austin. Thank you for fucking hooking me up with some shit. Like, dude, stoked to meet you, And but then he gave me a call. Hey, do you want to come on the skate rock trip with us? And I was like, fuck, all right, let's do it, And I think I had to fly in, and I don't know what it was. We met in Detroit. I might have been able to skate in Detroit. And then at Herman's Hole, either Andy or Baca, and those are both my homies, so no grudges anymore. But
I thought it was Grant.
Or Grant. Yeah, I don't know, but whoever it was, I had a pair of black Dickies on, and someone lit some firecrackers off, stuffed them in my back pocket, and dude, my pants melted, singed to my legs, my ball sack was swollen, my thighs were swollen, I couldn't walk. I was like serious burn victim to the back of my thigh. Couldn't do anything that whole trip. Couldn't even walk,
Yeah.
Let alone sit in a van. So that was all. I think I was in like traumatic fucking pain from all that, and just, coping it with the beers, and just kind of got myself through that. And that one sucked, man. That ended up being a lot of my first 4 or 5 trips with anti-hero was either blown out from skating or like something like that happened. But all my initial trips were like, damn, we're bringing this guy and he's like, can't skate. I've never been a great trip skater, I'm a little more spontaneous, and I think my shit in the tank is on reserves until it's ready to fucking unleash, and that's how I get down comfortably. Like I could get through trips and get shit, but I'm more productive on my own times, I think.
Yeah. You get to pick and choose what you do. I mean, the Pittsburgh trip, well, I guess that's kind of your zone, but like you got a bunch of shit on that one, right?
Man, I don't even know that I did. I definitely had a blast with everyone,
but you definitely had a bunch of clips in Preston's videos.
I probably did, because I really got down with P-Stone. Like I felt I didn't feel
no stress.
No stress with Stone. I was just like, he's as easy as filming with a childhood friend, Stone, let's get this. All right, easy. So, but that's totally a few of my first anti-hero trips. I was like, sweet, definitely getting kicked off. Blew it on this one,
And then is that kind of around the time you tried the fucking ollie, the 180 over the
Westgate ollie?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, like Skate Rock goes and that happens. And at that point, Paula and I had lived in San Francisco beforehand in her aunt's place down by the stadiums, kind of where you are.
Oh.
And she had rented there for fucking years and years, lifelong SF native, so we just got like a spare room in the house. We tried to set up shop, but I've always had to work full time, like ever since my California days had begun, just because it is a little more expensive out here. So it was hard for me to manage like skating, partying, working, because you work, and then by the time you're done working, you want to party, but then skating is the weekends, and your free time is like sparse, minimal. Mm-hmm. And so that 180 came along around a time that so we've done pretty good with this timeline so far, I do think.
Mm-hmm.
But it does get a little blurry after Skate Rock for a little bit, so I think I get a little more officially, I'm kind of up from like flow to you can go to Deluxe and get flowed gear, like, and say what's up to Mickey and the guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And I just thought it was so cool, man. Meeting Jim and John and Mick and Julian, seeing them all in their workspace, I was just like, this is so, like, what a brotherhood, what a family, like I hope I could stick with these guys. Like, I feel like I found a home.
Right.
And then the 180 came along just, I don't know, around that same time. I had just been working for CLP, which is California Labor Pool. So you go into this place, you take a P test, or maybe you don't, but you get your name on the list, and they just hit you up when any companies, whoever that has affiliation with CLP needs workers. So I was getting on jobs in the marina, kind of all throughout the city. And Bino had told me about this. Bino was like, what, you're hurting for work? Do CLP. I'm doing CLP. And I was like, all right, I'll sign up with CLP.
Uh-huh.
So I got on the California Labor Pool and I was getting some workflow. And then Bino was like, hey, I'm doing a park in Watsonville. You want to fuck off CLP and like come work on a skate park with me? And I had already had a little skate park experience at this point. Detroit, I worked on a grind line park in Pittsburgh with little Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to crazy little Eddie.
Shout out.
And then Bino pulled me into the Watsonville park and we would carpool together from the city. And he was living on Folsom at the time, and Stone was frequenting, and Don was starting to come through SF, and like the skating hype in our little zone right there was like super tough. It was, we were just, work was work, but we would skate every day. And so we worked on the Watsonville park together, and that kind of like initiated the surf hype. But the 180, sorry to sidetrack, the 180 was around this time. And when I was working for CLP, a company had me doing a job up that hill. So I would walk past that thing that I tried the 180 every day. P Stone and Joe Brook had taken us there a few times with like me and Rainey and whatever the squad was. And I always remember me and Rainey would talk about it like, damn, this is like not that big. Like you got all the hill for the run up and looks like you could just jump it, you know? And then I tried it and it was fucking giant and got pretty much destroyed and couldn't ride away. And but fuck, I wanted that. I still do want it.
You were close. They've totally modified it. They put like little bumps in front of the runway, and then they put the fence like little obstacles. Huh. Yeah, so you guys would drive down to Watsonville down the coast, and you would look at the waves all the time going there and back, and then kind of got inspired to try to like start surfing, right?
Yeah, to avoid traffic, we would take the coastline home. And we were working with Tim Trudell, who's the beer beagle. He's like an original grind line dude, I think. And just an all around fucking such a sick ass dude, you know? And he was like a lifelong surfer growing up, Southern California. And me and Bino are always fucking surf talk, dude, we will fucking get out there, get some. Yeah. And Tim's like, all right, well, I got boards. You guys want to go? And we were like, fuck, we don't got wetsuits. Like, what do we do, you know? And we got wetsuits and this and that. And Tim was like, oh, I'll take you guys to Pleasure Point. He's all, it's the fucking sickest right-hander. And so he got us going on Pleasure Point and paddled out there and got swept away by the current. Didn't get any waves, but we were kind of like, I don't know. For me, at least, I was like, oh, it's so on for surfing. I really, like, I just found something else I could tweak out on, like, skating, you know?
Yeah.
And especially because we would drive the coast home, and little did we know, like, wintertime and these monster fucking swells in the season, like, and I would see shit that, you know, was shit I only thought I had, like, dreamed of, or would see, like, Hawaii, like crazy, you know. I didn't think like, what, NorCal has it like that? Yeah. And I was like, just me being who I am, I just wanted to try to harness some of that too, because I've always been in the ocean since I was a little baby, so I was like comfortable with the water, and had been in big surf as a little kid and sucked out in rip currents with my cousin Andrea, and we were like, oh my god, we almost drowned, we fucking barely made it, you know?
Yeah.
So Watsonville did spark the surf hype, building that park.
Yeah, because you got a little crew like it was you and Albino and maybe a couple other people started kind of going surfing regularly. You probably saw Chico out there once. Maybe you see Jordy, like these guys, and then kind of is that kind of how it all like formed?
Well, so then at some point throughout this whole timeline that maybe skewed a little bit, I had torn my other ACL.
Oh, yeah.
And what had happened with that one was like, I think I was skating the bowl at Potrero, and I finally did a line in the deep end going side to side where like I had done like 3 airs, like pumping airs, you know, almost like a vert ramp style. Like I think I did a big frontside air and then an indie, and then maybe I bailed a backside ollie, but I had like maybe 2 walls where I was like, fuck, I think I just like tapped into the swing set feeling. Bailed this backside ollie, boom, my knee pops. And I'm like, fuck, that sucked, you know. Went home, hobbled home. Seriously hobbled home, like probably almost in tears, just like, God damn it, I fucking did it to my other leg. Here goes 9 months of my life, you know. But I don't get it checked out for a month, and I go to work, and it's super unstable at work, and had been out at a bar, and it totally popped and went on me. And a month or 2 later, back at Potrero, going for a frontside flip up the Euro gap. My left knee just folds, like super, super folds. Felt it all rip, pop, tear. So maybe the first time around was a partial tear. This time it was like 100%. So I tore it. And, you know, Jake, the old man, was always at the park, and he just seen me fucking hobbling, like one-legged outside. And
yeah,
he was just like, Foosh. I was like, fuck. And he knew then too, and I knew too. And he was just like, I love you. And I just like went on my way. Tore that one, got the surgery. And so the one I tore in San Diego healed up great. It's been solid ever since. That one that I tore at Potrero has been just like a janky knee ever since. And I think it may have been around that time of recovering, you know, that I tried the 180 when I was back to street skating, and I was just had that fire. Been hurt for so long, but I want to like prove to myself that I could still fucking get down.
Right.
So probably tried the 180, also got into surfing at the same time, just because it was a great outlet for my ass when I was too sore from skating to like, oh, I could still go scare myself in the ocean. But yeah, but also like seeing Chico, I really connected with Chico at Potrero just because he was getting over an ACL reconstruction, and me and him were just like, and that was another one, like, what? I'm going to be hanging out with Chico one day in my life, like DVS video, fucking all these old girl videos. Like I've looked up this dude ever since I've started skating. And and then we became friends through rapping about our knee injuries and just skating together. And then, yeah, that evolves to surfing together. And same with Ducky.
Shout out.
I became super close with Ducky on some Vans trips, and he had fucked up knee surgeries that he recovered from. And Jordy I had known through just being at the park and him being an SF head, you know?
Yeah.
And then it turned out Santi surfs, Julian surfs, like most of my friends that I skate with were surfers too, you know?
How did you guys meet the beer man?
So I met the beer man through Godo.
Ah, Godo.
Shout out.
And Godo and I had been friends through Potrero, but he had Johanna, I had Ozzy around the same time. And Ozzy was such a hard kid when he was younger, and I had no one to relate to, you know? No one that was a parent. I'd never been around kids, didn't know fucking kids, didn't know anyone that was a parent, but Godo was a parent. And his daughter was so mellow and so chill, and Ozzy was so wild. So I would hang with Godo all the time, and we surfed together. And one day surfing, he's like, you got to meet my friend Chris Bierman. He's a plumber, and he's just getting back from a road trip. Like, I got you guys. I bet you'd be homies. And so we introduced ourselves out in the water at OB one day, and I was just like, dude, I'm a construction guy too. You know, I work for companies, but I want to do my own shit. And yeah, we just clicked. Me and Chris clicked like right away, super tough. And yeah, it ended up turning out that he's like one of the gnarliest surfers around Ocean Beach that there is. Like, he'll charge the triple overhead days when there's really not anyone else out, and he's going out there with a smile, confident. And I was just like, man, that's some shit. So he's brought me and, you know, got me into some pretty big waves and big days, and he's helped boost my confidence. And yeah. I love surfing. I don't love surfing as much as I love skating, because skating is like that never ending fucking fountain of youth fun realm of just like, it is what it is. Surfing is still a challenge, you know?
Yeah.
But I like surfing little waves. I like surfing big double overhead Ocean Beach. So I could attribute that to Chris and Godo for sure.
It's been cool doing the Yawn Patrol with you guys, like going out and filming you guys surf. It's like, I was telling my wife, like, I go out there and the sun's not even up yet, and everybody's got their coffees and they're just stoked. They're sitting there like, dude, we can't see anything, but I think it's gonna be good. Like, yeah, it's just that PM.
Just like,
it's a good way to start the day, man.
Fucking huge. Yeah, it's so fucking fun having you out there, Schmitty.
And that's
I love it.
It's like 6 to 8, and then 8 you start your day, and you're like, dude, I already did like 2 hours of like a rad day.
Totally, yeah. And it's like, you know, we don't ever get fucking, who's gonna film us surfing? So to have you, and you're like, dude, I'm down to get up, I'm down to film, like, I just want to hang with you guys. It's fucking really cool. So thank you for filming us, because
if you
that helps your surfing to see yourself.
Yeah,
it can really like school you on, I'm blowing it here, I could be there.
I've been learning shit just watching the footage back, like, in like seeing like how the waves are caught and all that stuff. But I was gonna say, if you told me that I was gonna film a surf clip that was gonna make it into an anti-hero video, I wouldn't have believed it.
I know. If you ever told me that I was gonna be catching waves and in an anti-hero video, I wouldn't have believed it either myself.
Oh man. Well, we've taken a lot of your time, but I do want to like get to like the present. Like, you've had an insane couple years here with the Out There with Rye, the cover right here, which I got right here.
Dude, thank you. Thank you. Thrasher, Burnett, Tony, everyone.
How did that go down? That's up by you, right? You seen that spot and you told Bram like you got a photo spot for him or something?
Yeah, that's in Napa. And I had caught wind from a friend that I work with, my buddy Andrew Cole, Dave Cole's little brother. He's like, you know about that yellow full pipe by Home Depot? And I'm like, I lived here for fucking 2.5 years and you never told me about this thing? Like, show me right now. He's all, I don't think it's skatable. There's like strip of metal at the bottom. You'd have to like figure out how to remove that. And I was like, put a fucking giant sign there. Are you shitting me? So I go and look at it and I'm like, holy shit, this thing is so big and rad. And it's only a tiny strip of metal. I'm like, we got a sign for that. So I sent Bram a text photo of it. And Bram was like, dude, let's go. Like, when can we go? And I was like, let's go Sunday at 7 or 8, you know, in the morning. So we go there Sunday, 7 or 8 in the morning, and we tape the sign down. We try to dry it off. It's real misty because it's all early in the morning. But we were able to dry it enough. We got a photo, and I think he was like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. I think Burnett is like interested in it, but worst case scenario, you know, we got a sick photo for your interview. And I was, because we had been working on my interview at that time as well. And I was like, right on, fucking sweet, whatever. I don't care. Like, we got a rad photo, this and that. I get a call a few weeks later, maybe a week or two. He's like, dude, I think Burnett is maybe trying to lay it out, but the way we shot it, you know, I might be too low. You might be too small. We got to go back and reshoot it. I was like, all right, let's go reshoot it. So we go back another Sunday, and it's next to the Humane Society Animal Shelter here in Napa. And the sheriff's department is in there as well. and some dude is just really wilding on us, just like, the fuck out of here. Cops, sheriff's inside. I'm going to get him right now. Get the fuck out of here. La, la, la. We're like, God damn it. Like, so we get kicked out. Police are there in that building. We can't skate it. And I'm just like, kind of the wind has deflated out of my sails a little bit, you know. I'm just like, God damn it. And then we go to Ripon for the day rip. Grant and Pedro and everyone's up there, and that was on Saturday. Bram and I had plans to go reshoot that photo on Sunday. I fucking popped my knee, think I tore my ACL again at Ripon that day.
Oh.
So I go home that Saturday night, and I'm just like, all right, you know, maybe it's not that bad. And I wake up Sunday morning, the day we're supposed to go shoot that photo. I can't walk. My knee is like a basketball, you know? And I was like, man, I tore my ACL again, like round 3. Let me just start the process, get the surgery, all this and that. So luckily I have Kaiser, you know, pay a pretty penny for my Kaiser health insurance and get an MRI. And the doctor is like, okay, so we don't really see any cartilage in your old bone tunnel since I've had both knees redone. He's like, it looks like you don't have an ACL anymore. And I was like, so what do you mean? Did I tear it, or like, do I not have one? He's like, well, it's just hard to tell. And he's like, upon physical examination, he's like, you see that like 2 inches of play in your knee? He's all, your upper leg shouldn't separate from your lower leg like that. So he's all, you don't really have an ACL. I was like, what about my MCL? Because I kind of bent it a weird way too. And he like does this side to side with my knee. He's all, your knees are fucked, man. Like you need an MCL and an ACL, and you have no cartilage on the whole left side of your knee. Like,
damn.
I wonder why you got knee pain and this and that. I'm like, dude, but hold on. My knee, this left knee has been bad since my last surgery. And he's like, well, did you do all your stuff, like your rehab? And I was like, no. And I just kind of I think I fucked it up shortly after that surgery. And so he's all right, we're going to get you in for an ACL, MCL reconstruction in 2 weeks. So I was like, all right, sign me up. And I talked to Paula, and she was like, don't fucking do that. Like, you're getting better. You know, a few weeks had passed after Ripon, and I had been talking to Grant, and he's like, I'll hook you up with a physical therapist. And I was talking to my friend Kyle Brown, who's a physical therapist. And this is all amongst getting hit up by Burnett and Bram. Like, Burnett's looking for that photo. If we reshot it, I'm like, dude, I can't skate yet. I'm trying to like figure this out. So I think 2 months pass, and I opt out of getting surgery, and I just decided fucking, you know, I think those doctors are kind of like just eager to give you surgery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I was getting by with a janky knee as is. So long story short, don't get the surgery and just kind of self-healed myself. And we went back as soon as I could start skating. And I couldn't even really pop ollies or kickflips yet, but we got the frontside thruster photo. We got probably like 10 or 15 of them. And I was doing the thruster and then a backside turn and launching out of the yellow pipe to ride away, and tried a couple back 180s, and I thought it'd be cool to back 3 out of the thing, but I at least got the thruster and turned around and launched out of the yellow pipe. And then I was in Pittsburgh on a little Vans skate John trip. And yeah, man, Bram sent me the photo day 1 of the trip and a screenshot of Instagram because I'm not on there. And I was just like pretty floored, man.
What did you do?
It's still a bit surreal to me. Like, we have Paula's mom got it framed and kind of like shrink wrapped, and I hung it in the kids' room, and we put them to bed every night, sleeping there. And I'll kind of glance at it every couple of days, and I'm just like, what the fuck, you know? Never in a million years. So that's what's cool about this whole skating life experiences. It's 1,000 things that you think never in a million years is it possible, but I don't know. Things end up happening, dude. It's cool.
You know what Felper would say right now? Steamer never got one.
So you got the cover.
And that's another thing too. Like, man, I spent so much time with Jake at the skate park, seeing him early mornings on my way to work. Like, I'd be going to work at 5:30. It's dark out. I'd see Jake skating down the fucking street, and I'm like, Jake, what's up? You know? And just all that time I spent with him, that even solidified it more. Like, fuck, I'm never getting a cover. Like, you got to be the gnarliest, the raddest, the fucking illest. Like, I'm just wishing, you know?
It's a sick photo too, though, like the whole deal, right? It also kind of is sparking the DIY series. Like, it's right around that same time, right?
Yeah, that was around the same time too, which was because Tony Vitello had reached out to me talking about the Double Rock rebuild, which I was a little hesitant to do just because I was kind of spread thin at the time and I didn't want to let anyone down, but I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, you know? And my ragtag crew of fucking workers, you know, we're all a bit creative minds, and, you know, maybe we're a little too creative at times, thinking what we're doing is going to work, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's like the ethos of DIY is you're only going to learn by fucking up some shit, you know, and doing it wrong to figure out how to do it right. So at the same time that Tony had, you know, thrown me the idea to redo Double Rock, he had mentioned the DIY series. And I was, like I said, you know, just a bit like, fuck, I have so much on my plate with kids and with my job and with wanting to skate and surf. And like, I have a lot of my time blocks are filled up. But I was like, you know, talked it over with some friends and with my lady. And she's like, you're gonna be so pissed at yourself if you don't do this, you know? So there we go. We go dive in head first. And one we may have nailed, one we may have blown. And we can only keep trying our best from here. So the skate park, I don't know what happened. It is not there anymore, and we only wanted to make it better. But the DIY series ended up, I mean, I've heard a lot of cool things from like skaters that I wouldn't have thought would have even watched it, you know?
Really?
Like friends of mine that are like, man, or like Grant was really into it. I wouldn't have thought that. Nick Basario, Brass, he was really into it. And just tons of people that I was like friends with, that thought, you know, they wouldn't even take a glance at it, you know, and people kind of dig it. And that's what we're all about, dude. I've always like looked out for the kids around me and the youth. And I feel like I've gotten so much from skating in my life that anything else from here that comes my way is kind of like the cherry on top. And I want to send it down to the little kids, you know?
Yeah. I got a question for you. I don't know if this is easy for you to remember because sometimes it's just in the moment.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't have to be the DIY series because you've done a lot of building outside that too. But in all the time that you're building, there's always a frickin' peanut gallery, right? And like we had fun with Squirrel that one day and all the little things. What's like the funniest shit? Can you remember any shit where it was just like this guy, like the whole day, or like the comments or just whatever, or like, dude, you did this wrong, or just like the guy that's just sitting there, but he's not doing much, but he's just got a comment for everything, or
so I don't know. I can take it all the way back to like my initial construction job back to when I was like 18 in Pittsburgh, and it was my buddy George, rest in peace. He ended up committing suicide. He kind of had a rough go in the military, but his dad was like just the ultimate heckler. His dad was the foreman on the crew, late 60s, just like the baddest carpenter you'd ever met. I'd seen him fall off ladders and come back 2 days after his surgery and work. But those guys were ultimate hecklers. So that was always hilarious. And then job site antics, I don't know. I tried to hire all my friends on with this company that I was a foreman for in San Francisco. And that ended up being just like an ultimate fail, you know. Don't ever work with you can work with your friends, but you're going to learn what that entails, you know. And
yeah.
I remember Bill, my friend Bill, and my other friend Matt had to break up one fist fight behind the job. These dudes are just duking it out. And I'm the foreman. Get the fuck out of here. Like, my ass is on the line if you guys fuck shit up. Fuck out of here. Get off this job. I'm working again. Hear all this going on in the front of the job on the sidewalk. Go out there. They're fist fighting on the sidewalk again. I'm just like, seriously, hit the corners and bail right now. But I've worked with so many cool, like, dude, since I've come to San Francisco, just Salvadorians, Guatemalans, dudes from Mexico. Any of the Spanish I've learned in my life, it's from a job site.
On the job. Yeah.
And yeah, dude, they're all just such characters in their own right. And
that's what I mean. Like, the characters are just, it just draws these kind of people. You have to have thick skin because you are going to get heckled. Yeah. But you also have to have wit because you need to have conversation. You got like long days. And then you also have to be tough and be able to work and like maintain that all the time. So it ain't easy. That's for sure.
No, but it out of like, you know, I had worked so many jobs before getting into construction that I had just realized that like, this is definitely the route that you can make the most money and live the most flexible. And if you want to bounce around the country, you can find work anywhere you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer that question, I wish I had a better story, Schmidt, but
I got a little one.
Yeah, let me hear it.
There's this guy that he told me, like, you can't say the price of Ardex on the Thrasher site because it's not that price in Atlanta.
Holy cannoli.
Okay, here's a good rebuttal to that. The reason, and anyone who lives with me or lives and works with me, they know I have a hard time keeping shit clean. Like, I have a hard time keeping shit from breaking and keeping shit clean. So Ardex was always my thing because I could never use fucking Bondo. I sucked at it and I'd leave a giant mess, and I was never like, let's tape it and sand it. I'm like, just splat it on and let's fucking get it.
How much do you think that Ozzy has helped you? Because I think I got to know you more after you had Ozzy, so I didn't know you so much before that. But in my mind, you articulate pretty well and like have this like kind of educational approach to explaining things. That's like, it doesn't go on forever, but it's simple and it kind of gets to the point. And in my mind, I'm like, is that because you're a father or is that just how you are?
I don't know, man. Well, thank you for that compliment. But definitely having kids had opened my eyes and just gave me such a better outlook on fucking life, dude. I don't know. I was just kind of in that rut, you know, mid-20s, partying so hard for 10 years and just kind of was like, that was the fucking kick in the ass that I needed to like focus on the shit that matters, which is like family and skating. Family first, skating second, working third, you know? And yeah, Ozzy was such a late talker. He didn't talk till he was 2.5, 3 years old. And that's like pretty rare for kids to talk that late. And I just tried really hard to like vocalize everything to him with just no return for a long time. So maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm so thankful that we had our kids, and I'm so thankful for who they are because they're just wild animals, and you just got to tame them, and we're holding on for dear life, but we're so much enjoying this ride too, you know, because now that I'm 32 now, so I'm not that young, I'm not that old, but come on. We know how fucking short life can be.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, who's going to win SOTY this year? We got probably 2 weeks till they announce it.
Who can you give me some options who it's between? Because I know that like Louis.
I'll give you my top 4 or 5 in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, we got Tyshawn. We got, when I say Nyjah and everyone goes, ooh, Nyjah just put out an insane video.
I watched it. That was fucking bonkers.
So we got, so I'm saying Nyjah, Tyshawn, my pick, T-Funk, and then Louis Lopez. And for a 5, slide the 5 in there for the feel-good story of the year. we got my good friend down in Hollywood. This is Kevin Spanky Long.
Yeah, talk about
Spanky, I would love for him to get Sody. It would just be the best.
Talk about a curveball, and fucking Spanky is the nicest dude on earth.
He's the best.
Has been ripping so fucking hard since I was a little ass kid.
Yeah.
I've been watching him since fucking what? This Is America, or what was that little tour video?
He was on what was it called? 16 or whatever, the teen little,
yeah. I forget what that was, but
he didn't stop skating, but he quit his job in skating, got a regular job, was doing, I think, construction or something for a while. And then he got sober and he got the opportunity to come back. Boss man let him. And ever since then, right? It's been fun to watch. The Hitchens, the little art shit he does too. Like he's the full deal. Yeah, I love Spanky.
Best, man. I'm such a fan of Spanky skating. Such a fan of Louis. I'm such a fan of Tyshawn. T-Funk really fucked it up. I don't know, man. Skater of the year.
Yeah.
I gotta say, because it comes down to a lot of variables. You got to have the gnarliness. You got to have the output. You got to have the people's choice going with you too. So Spanky is definitely up there in my favorites because I could tell how much he's enjoying skating. And he's been doing it forever, so that's great. And I'm a mega fan, but I don't know if he's getting it. T-Funk did some of the gnarliest shit, China Banks and everything else, but haven't seen all the output. I think it's between Tyshawn and Lou at this point.
I think you're right.
And man, we got 2 more parts coming down the pipes, right? Like Tyshawn's got another one and Louis got another one.
Yeah, and so does Nyjah too.
Oh, sorry, I forgot Nyjah. So I watched his first one that came out, and that's probably some of like the heaviest skating to date. Gotta be.
And then I heard that's not like the next part's better.
So that's almost like, is it too gnarly?
Here's the deal. When it's time to announce Sody next week and you drop 3 parts this week, I just don't like that. Like I want skating all year round and nobody trying to get this. Like I get why, and I understand that the companies are pushing them, and it's more than just like, it's not just the skater that has that mentality. I understand everything. Believe me, I get it. But the whole thing just drives me crazy. Like, I just want the guy like Ryan DeCenzo, he drops a part in January that's amazing, but by October, nobody even remembers he put out a part. It's just like, let's just skate and like drop. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say I'm also not probably the biggest fan of Pump It All Out in the last 2 months before it gets
like
announced.
It's a full run for Sody, right?
But that's cool too. That's fucking everyone's cup of tea. Like, believe you me, I wish I had 3 parts that I could drop right fucking now, you know?
Well, who are you going to sway with then?
Oh my God. I'm such a fan of Tyshawn and Louis. And I want to say like Nyjah too, man. He's just so gnarly, but like it's almost so gnarly that I can't even fucking understand it, you know? Whereas Louis and Tyshawn, I could kind of relate to that skating a little more. So for me, this is just a me thing personally. This is stuck between Tyshawn and Louis. So as it stands right now, I'm giving it to Tyshawn for round 2, but I know Louis got some craziness coming down the pipes, and he's probably been deserving it for the last few years as is. So
we gotta see Louis.
I want to see what pans out, and if Louis comes out with some fucking fire, some heat, then we might have to give it to him. But if Tyshawn's next part is heavier than the last one he put out, then fuck, I don't know. It's going to be a tough call, but it's Tyshawn or Louis.
I just want to say that I don't know who's winning. Like, I
No,
do
I
work
mean,
for.
You
I
guys
do
don't
work.
know until you call it, you know, or until the fucking
Right,
boats
so-
come in.
To just go out on a record, I'm going to say I think besides your cover, the Tyshawn cover was the best cover of the year, second to yours.
Yeah, Schmitty.
How you like me now?
You know what's? We live in such a rad fucking time of skating that like these are the conversations we get to have, you know, because dude, Louis and Tyshawn are like some of the most raddest styles, sickest to watch, such different skateboarders in their own right. You know, they're both so fucking powerful and so just creative and next level that, yeah, it's a tough call. I'm glad I don't got to make that call.
Well, what do you got for the holidays? Anything special? Or are you just keeping it local? Are you traveling? What are you doing?
We're just keeping it local, man. I'm like started my little concrete construction company, so I'm just trying to establish this and capitalize on the surf at the same time. And
how is it? How has it been being on Instagram?
I don't even run it. Paula runs it. I'm not on there.
So how does that work? You send her photos?
Yeah.
Oh.
I send her all the photos, videos of the jobs, and she posts it all, and she does my
So you're still not on there?
No.
Oh.
I just send her all
so I'll stop DMing you. She's probably like, dude, you're French.
No, I get home from work and she's like, oh, you got a bunch of like messages you should respond to. So then if it's work that's coming in, I'll respond to that. If it's my homies writing, I'll respond to that. And
okay. Well, that's good to know. I'll just text you from now on.
It's not on my phone. And but it was like such a no-brainer, you know. We're starting a company.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Great advertising.
You know.
Yeah.
And we've landed a lot of jobs from it, and there's jobs coming in, and also like, you know, I'm kind of like reclusive and like to keep to myself, so it is cool when I see like, oh fuck, I don't have this person's number and they're reaching out. I could say what's up.
Well, Paula said, according to the analytics, she said the Talkin Schmit bump was huge. It put you guys into another level.
Yeah, you pushed us into the next tax bracket.
Dude. Hey, I got one question from this Instagram guy. His name's Ducky Fucky, and he wants to know what your favorite cereal is. He needs to know.
Fuck. I don't even eat cereal, but as a kid, you better believe I love the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ooh. Me and Antonius Dincho, we are thinking about doing a cereal top 64 and have a bracket and have... We're like cereal connoisseurs. We'll send each other photos when we're in Safeway. We'll be like, ooh, new Captain Crunch, or like whatever.
Yes. What's your favorite?
Dude, I don't know. Like I was talking to Rob Welsh about it, and without hesitation, he said Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay, so that's my new one with the kids because they want all those marshmallows and the sugar and this and that. I'm like, no way, fools, you ain't getting that. So the Honey Nut Cheerios is the in between.
What's gone into this body more than any other cereal? We're going Cocoa Pebbles. You best believe that.
Damn. All right. Always saw it. Never fucking bit on.
You can tell by the side tires.
Come on. You're looking fucking fit nowadays.
Well, hey, the 50 push-up rule. I like it, man.
Yeah. You know what? I got to be honest. I only did those push-ups when you guys called me out in the text outside of the car, and I gave you like 14. I got a bad wrist. But I'll do sit-ups like a madman.
See, I can't. That's what I got to do because I can't do those. But you and Cranny are the only two people in my history that have called out push-ups And I'm like, it gets me fired up. Like he's like,
yeah, it really gets
Granny
the
will be
blood.
like, dude, I got 70. I'll be like, fuck, okay, I'll try to get 50 today. And he's like,
sick.
I'm doing 100 now. I'll be like, I mean, not to get all weird, but like it does help you when you get older to try to get like your core. Salva told me this long story about how he went to the doctor and the doctor's like, dude, your back hurts because you got no core, bro. Like your stomach muscles are
no
weak.
brainer at that point.
And then so that's when he started doing push-ups all the time to build that up, so because his back was hurting.
Yeah, and it probably worked. I mean, I'm sure it did.
Well,
funny thing is, like, you know, my kids are always, anytime I bend over, they just want to jump on your back and on your head, and beat you up, and my kids are all like into that. Like they think it's cool to like fucking try to wail on dad, which who doesn't? But my wrists are so shitty that my push-up game is weak, you know, like this. So these little fools have learned how to do push-ups on their knuckles.
Ooh.
And I'm like, that's good. So but I've been teaching Ozzy and Coyote, like, come on, push-ups, and it's good. Anything that gets your blood flowing, get you like moving, come on, that's what I think is going to keep us alive, to be honest.
Hey, P Stone used to tell me, come on, Schmitty, 20 of these every morning, just circles.
Anything, right?
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Last one, Sean the Gut guitarist. He wants your dream session and crew.
Oh my God, dude. All right. It's going to be Stone. It's going to be you. It's going to be Cranny. It's going to be the Bot. It's going to be all of our anti-hero crew. It's going to be KT, Maldonado when they were fucking in their prime. All my Pittsburgh homies. All the Potrero homies. Everyone that used to lurk out at Pulaski and Love Park. I want my dream session to be all the Mafia, West, everyone down in SD. I want the Copenhagen homies. I want this conglomerate, Evan. I want everyone that I named in this thing today. That would be my dream session.
And where at? We're going to have a big spot.
Oh, we're just going to session Pittsburgh on a Sunday, downtown, the whole city, crusty style, and that's my dream.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. Thank you so much for spending the time, man. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this, and a lot of people have been hitting me up going, why don't you do Kanfoush? Do you know him? And I was like, yeah, I know him. We're waiting until he gets into 1/8. Get it? He's anti-hero. So 181, we did pretty good, I think.
Man, it was just like a combination of fucking so much, you know, like you and I use our free time to hit the beat, go skate.
No, I know.
I'm skating. I'm trying to hustle work. So we're busy cats, but man, I'm so thankful that you got me on here too. And hopefully we could do a round 2 in the future.
Of course. You're welcome anytime. We do the best we can, and that's all we can do. That's what I always say. What song are we going to throw in the jukebox and take the fucking big blue trip up to Portland and give Joe Brooks some fucking Dairy Queen shakes with?
Damn. All right. Something that'll really just get the gears going to get on the road.
We got 15 hours. It's a long one.
All right. 15 hours starting the road trip. Man, I don't know. Do we want to start it off rocking or do we want to start it off kind of fucking rolling? Let me think of a jam that I've really been liking lately. This is just one that's kind of come back around to me and it popped up in the shuffle recently, but I'm going to say Gary Rafferty, Baker Street, just to ease into a long one that's going to go for a long time.
Dude, we did it. We did it.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
So
Schmidt.
what time at Sloat tomorrow?
Sun comes up. I'll be there at 6. I like getting there when it's dark.
Wait, are you going?
I'll check the report when I get off the phone, and if there's waves, let's meet there.
Oh, yeah. Let me know. I was kidding, but yeah.
I'm so stoked and looking forward to 1,000 sessions this winter. It's on. Like,
and I got a challenge to all the Yawn Patrol because I know they're listening.
There's 18 of them in that text.
Except for Eddie. Eddie flew the coop. We haven't seen him.
Eddie Cernicki is still in the text. I think he's just got us on mute right now because he's like, these idiots won't shut up.
Well, I got a challenge. I'm going to be filming the Yawn Patrol. My big challenge is I have never filmed anyone catch a wave under the Golden Gate Bridge who is going to be the first for me to film catching a wave.
Oh, here.
24/7. I am on call. If you guys want to go, I am down.
So that's going to be Bierman, Godo. Jordy likes to go there. Toad hits that spot. It's okay. You need a maxed out Northwest swell that's blown out OB. It's too giant. Everywhere is too big and windy and shitty. That's blocked by the wind, but it allows the swell to trickle in, and that's
so we need a huge day.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm waiting for it. I think it's going to be beautiful. I'm all into the sun rising and the Golden Gate Bridge and birds. I got super slow-mo in mind. And that, kids, is a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talkin Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at talkinschmit.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkinschmit@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. A very special shout out goes to the executive director, Sharal Camisa.
Shout out. Love it!
This is Talkin Schmit, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.
Keep the wheels greased.